I restart civilization in the 27th century. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 126, Heartless Cannon. If you want to eliminate as many of the enemy's manpower as possible, then this way of fighting will definitely not work. Now you can only wait for the crazy ghosts to come up and fight them one by one. The crazy ghosts are not stupid. If they are injured and in a bad state, they will turn around and run back. After going down, with the help of the group of crazy ghosts who are good at mental power, they will recover quickly. Although the human side also has pharmacists, there are only 3 among tens of thousands of people, and they can't take care of so many wounded. Most ordinary people died directly after being hit by the crazy ghosts, without even a chance of rescue. With this kind of fighting style, the human side will always suffer more losses. Huangkan. Chang Ning turned around and shouted, "Chang Jiangzang, here it comes." Huangkan made a powerful blow and knocked down a crazy ghost that had just climbed up the wall, then turned sideways to be alert, looked around, and then ran to Chang Ning. "We have to implement Plan B." Chang Ning frowned. "Plan B?" Huangkan seemed surprised. "Has it reached that point?" Chang Ning shook his head. "The situation is not very critical now, but the situation has changed. The plan B they discussed before was a countermeasure after most of the Lost Heart Ghost army entered Yancheng. At that time, a large number of awakened people in Yancheng who still have combat capabilities will leave the range of 17th to 21st floors of Yancheng and use themselves to attract the Lost Heart Ghosts to fight in the lower buildings. This will give ordinary people some breathing space, allowing ordinary people to continue to set traps and increase firepower upstairs, waiting for the counterattack later. This plan is very dangerous. When it was discussed at the time, it would only be considered to be launched when the Lost Heart Ghost broke through all the balcony defenses on the 17th floor, entered the interior of the building, and even hit the 18th and 19th floors. But now it is obvious that the Lost Heart Ghost can't even break through the balcony on the 17th floor. So Huangkan is very confused. Chang Ning went on to explain, "There are many differences between now and when we discussed the plan. The strength of the Lost Heart Ghosts is very strong, beyond our expectations. Especially the Lost Heart Ghost leader. If Li Ling hadn't helped us stop it, we would have been defeated now. So while Li Ling is entangled with the Lost Heart Ghost leader, we need to quickly eliminate more Lost Heart Ghosts so that we can take the initiative in the future. Whether the Lost Heart Ghost leader can break through Li Ling's obstruction and participate in the battle here, we can advance and retreat with reason." Huangkan thought about it and nodded. "Chang Jiangzang is right. Then I will go to gather people now." "Wait." Chang Ning called him from behind. "What else?" Huangkan turned around and asked in confusion. "The original plan has halved the number of people. Bring all the awakened people who can use shotguns and ask Su Panpan for a gun." Huangkan nodded and hurriedly ran towards the corridor. Chang Ning continued to use Barrett to harvest the heads of the Lost Heart Ghosts within his sight. But most of the Lost Heart Ghosts were in a vertical position downstairs, and Barrett could only do so much now. After a while, Huangkan came over with 30 people, many of whom were carrying a shotgun on their shoulders. It seemed that, although the awakened ones had their own skills, they all liked this gun very much. These people lined up and stood in a row. It seemed that the military training some time ago had some effect. A little head with a ponytail stuck out from behind. "Chang Jiangzang, I'm very accurate in shooting. Can you let me go too?" It was Su Panpan. "Go." "Stop it. We are all awakened. What are you doing down there?" Chang Ning scolded. "Oh." Su Panpan retracted her little head. Chang Ning nodded to Huangkan. According to the original plan. Then he slid down first using the zipline. The awakened ones behind him either followed Chang Ning to use the zipline, or use their own abilities to go down from the 17th floor to the 1st floor. When passing by the crazy ghosts who were still climbing, the two sides looked at each other strangely. The crazy ghost's pace upwards was much slower. A few seconds later, Chang Ning reached the ground first. Immediately, several crazy ghosts pounced on him. Chang Ning was well prepared. He dodged and made a small leap, rolled on the ground, and moved away from the direction of landing. Then he took out the Skywalker #1 laser sword and turned the beam to the maximum. Swish! Another crazy ghost pounced on him. It was thin and very flexible. It flashed like an afterimage in the night, and it was difficult to accurately capture its figure. Chang Ning retreated to the corner of the wall calmly and waved the Skywalker #1 in his right hand gently and quickly in front of him. Ah! A scream. The arms of the crazy ghost separated from the torso and fell to the ground and twitched. Chang Ning also took out the Desert Eagle in his left hand, aimed at a crazy ghost in the distance, and pulled the trigger. Bang, bang, bang. After a few consecutive gunshots, the crazy ghost also fell to the ground. Chang Jiangzang. Are you okay? Huang Kan also followed. Chang Ning shook his head and looked up. Dozens of awakened people carrying formatted supplies came downstairs one after another and stood around him, clearing a large open space. Hundreds of insane ghosts stood and confronted them a few dozen meters away and did not dare to move forward for a while. After the awakened people went downstairs, no more insane ghosts continued to climb up. The plan worked. Chang Ning waved his hand to signal the awakened people behind him to act according to the plan. Several people bent over and fiddled with something, and several others laid out several large iron barrels in a row. 10 seconds later, the people behind were ready. Chang Ning nodded to them, and then all the awakened people stood behind these things on the ground. Snap, snap, snap. With a few soft sounds, a row of searchlights in front of the awakened people turned on, and dozens of strong lights with more than 200,000 lumens instantly hit the group of insane ghosts. AWW. All the insane ghosts covered their eyes and turned around like blind people. Even the battle between Li Ling and the leader of the Lost Heart ghosts in the distance was affected. They stopped attacking together and ran further away in tacit understanding. The searchlight actually had such a great effect on the Lost Heart ghosts. Chang Ning had thought that the searchlight would be useful to them before, but he didn't expect it to be so useful. Lost Heart ghosts are afraid of the sun and basically don't come out to move during the day. The brightness of the sun is about 100,000 lumens, and the brightness of the searchlights that Chang Ning prepared for them is more than 200,000 lumens. In other words, at this distance, it is equivalent to having dozens of things brighter than the sun shining on these Lost Heart ghosts, making them instinctively feel very uncomfortable. This is not over yet. The awakened people in Yuncheng stuffed big bags into the big iron barrels one by one. Those were the explosive bags that Zunlu had been working overtime to direct the craftsmen to make. The arsenal in Yangcheng has not been explored yet. The current production of explosives in Yuncheng is limited, which is not enough to ambush Lost Heart ghosts on the road and use them as mines. But it is still possible to gather dozens of explosive packs and give the Lost Heart ghosts a surprise attack. While the Lost Heart ghosts on the opposite side were still covering their eyes and howling and running around like headless flies, the conscienceless cannons on the side of the Yuncheng human army fired. Bang! A huge sound came from the iron muzzle and sparks flashed. Then the explosive packs and the gasoline barrel flew out a beautiful parabola and fell into the group of Lost Heart ghosts. People and horses fell to the ground. Chickens flew and dogs jumped. Near the landing point of the explosive packs, several Lost Heart ghosts were directly blown to pieces. There were dozens of Lost Heart ghosts around who suffered varying degrees of damage. Bang, bang, bang. The conscienceless cannons continued to fire, and the explosive packs fell into the group of Lost Heart ghosts one by one, causing them great damage. The group of Lost Heart ghosts that had originally lined up in a dense queue and launched a mental attack on the 17th floor of Yuncheng suffered the most serious damage. After a few shells were focused on, almost none of the Lost Heart ghosts on that side could remain intact. Most of the other Lost Heart ghosts were also killed or wounded, and only less than 1/3 could still stand on the ground. What are you still standing there for? Go. After the explosives were set off, Chang Ning waved his hand and ran forward first. Kill him while he's sick. These Lost Heart ghosts were caught off guard by Yuncheng, and most of them were eliminated. But the remaining number is still much larger than the awakeners on Yuncheng's side. Now, while they are still in the midst of a major blow and have not recovered, a wave of attack should be able to eliminate many again. The awakeners of Yuncheng also woke up one after another. The power of the conscienceless cannon just now was so great that even they, the people themselves, were stunned. The awakeners rushed forward with the beams of searchlights on their backs. If the lost heart ghosts wanted to see them clearly, they had to face the searchlights. If they came to fight, a row of blinding light rushed straight at them, making the lost heart ghosts unable to speak. Woo, woo, woo. At this time, several muffled sounds came from the direction of the river in the north in the distance. It was the whistle of the Cloud City. They came back so quickly. Chang Ning thought they would not be able to get back until at least dawn, but they had already reached the riverside after only fighting for more than an hour. It seemed that they would be able to join the battlefield in half an hour. By then, the human side would be able to establish a real power advantage. The morale of all humans was greatly boosted. The awakened people under the city, the awakened people and ordinary people on the balcony on the 17th floor, and the people on other floors upstairs all cheered. Victory is at hand. From the initial uneasiness to the current victory in sight, the mentality of the people of Cloud City has undergone a huge change overnight. The group of lost ghosts under the city have been seriously injured, facing the light of the searchlight, and heard the sound of human reinforcement. Each one was a little at a loss, and their movements were obviously not as agile as before. The few lost ghosts left on the top of the city began to retreat quickly and fled downstairs. Chang Ning led his men to the group of mind-destroying ghosts. The imagined tough battle did not come. Instead, they chopped down the mind-destroying ghosts in front of them like cutting melons and vegetables. Yeah. Chang Ning was also very encouraged. The original panic was swept away. After destroying this group of mind-destroying ghosts, the surrounding human towns united again. Then the restart of civilization is just around the corner. At this moment, the mind-destroying ghost leader who was fighting with Li Ling in the distance suddenly let out an angry roar. AWW. Then, regardless of being hit hard on the back by Li Ling, he quickly fled the battlefield, where he was fighting with Li Ling. But he rushed towards the direction of Yancheng. Be careful. Several sharp-eyed awakeners reminded the people around them. The mind-destroying ghost leader sprinted very fast and arrived at the battlefield downstairs in the blink of an eye. AWW. It yelled angrily and grabbed Chang Ning. Chapter 127. Confrontation with the insane ghost leader. After the leader of the Lost Heart Ghosts was hit hard by Li Ling, he fled directly to the downstairs of Yancheng and grabbed Chang Ning. Although Chang Ning's physique has been greatly enhanced since he came to this era, in the final analysis, his body is still that of an ordinary person. He just has the power of the Star Core and has become a Stargate Awakener. There is no essential change in his physique. He only felt his eyes blurred, and then he felt a sharp pain in his body. His waist was clamped in the arms of the Lost Heart Ghost leader, and he seemed to be broken into two. In full view of the public, the Lost Heart Ghost leader took Chang Ning with him, and then broke through the wall downstairs of Yancheng like the wind, and disappeared into the interior of the Yancheng building. Hurry up and catch up with it. Zulan's eyes turned red, and she said hello to several awakened people around her, and then went into the hole in the wall first. Several other awakened people who had a good relationship with Chang Ning followed her, and entered the hole in the wall together. Huang Qian shouted, destroy these crazy ghosts first. After resolving the current crisis in Yancheng, we will have plenty of time to rescue Chang Jiangzhang. His awakened people from Yancheng and awakened people from other cities who had just arrived in Yancheng hesitated for a moment and continued to rush forward towards the crazy ghosts. The battle was no longer suspenseful at this point. Even Su Panpan took the shotgun team members and went down to the first floor through the elevator to fight with the awakened people. Half an hour later, the last dozen crazy ghosts were surrounded by human warriors. Yang Qian Qian's voice came from a distance. Am I late? Yang Qian Qian and Yang Bao rushed to the downstairs of Yancheng first, and there was a group of awakened people hanging behind them in the distance. Huang Qian smiled at Yang Qian Qian. It's not too late to say it's late. There are still 10 or so here. Leave it to you. Yang Qian Qian grinned. Okay. Then her figure turned into a residual image and rushed into the last group of crazy ghosts. 10 seconds later, no more Lost Heart Ghosts could stand on the ground. Yeah. A huge cheer came from upstairs and downstairs of Yancheng. People seemed to be still unconvinced that they had actually repelled such a large number of Lost Heart Ghosts. Yunchai and Su also brought the non-combat awakeners to the downstairs of Yuncheng through the elevator. "Thank you for your hard work." Her voice was not loud among the cheering crowd, but it had strong penetrating power. She turned her head and looked around, wondering, where is Chang Jiangzong? The scene of Chang Ning being kidnapped by the Lost Heart Ghost leader just now happened under the wall of Yuncheng, and the people on the 17th floor did not see it at all. They just heard a loud bang against the wall, and then they could not see the Lost Heart Ghost leader. After she reminded them, Yun Kai and Qian and Yang Bao also looked around and asked curiously, "Yes, where is Chang Ning?" Chang Jiangzong was kidnapped by the Lost Heart Ghost leader. Huang Qian lowered his head. His voice was not loud, but it was deafening to the few people who had just arrived. "What?" Yun Shai and Su, Yun Kai and Qian, and Yang Bao shouted together. At this time, Zulan walked out of the hole in the wall that was knocked out by the leader of the Lost Heart Ghost. "How is it?" Huang Qian asked hurriedly when he saw Zulan. Zulan shook her head. "I didn't catch him." Before, Zulan saw Chang Ning being abducted by the leader of the Lost Heart Ghost and followed him in immediately, but the speed of the leader of the Lost Heart Ghost was too fast, and he violently broke through the wall all the way to the inside. At first, Zulan and the others could still find traces along the wall that the leader of the Lost Heart Ghost broke through, but later, after passing the lobby of the shopping mall on the first floor, the traces of the leader of the Lost Heart Ghost passed by became much less. They could only confirm that the leader of the Lost Heart Ghost took Chang Ning to the basement, but they could not find their route at all. The interior of the building was dim even during the day, not to mention that it was still dark now. Zulan and the others did not bring any lighting equipment, and after searching in the building like a headless fly for a while, they had to retreat. After telling Yun Shai and Su and the others about the situation, the atmosphere of victory in Yuncheng was diluted for a while. On the other side, Chang Ning was slowly waking up from a coma. The moment he was caught by the leader of the Lost Heart Ghost, he fainted because of the severe pain. The leader of the Lost Heart Ghost grabbed Chang Ning all the way down, through the first floor of Yuncheng, the first underground floor, the second underground floor, and went through the subway tunnel of the old world underground in Yuncheng, and it was unknown how deep it went. The violent shaking along the way made Chang Ning slowly wake up. The pungent fishy smell and the hard and sticky touch made Chang Ning feel very sick. He realized that he was kidnapped by the leader of the Lost Heart Ghost. "It didn't kill me, but kidnapped me. Is there any intention? Is it going to use me as a hostage to negotiate with Li Ling?" Chang Ning's mind was spinning rapidly, looking for a solution to the problem at the moment. At the same time, he silently checked his body. There was severe pain in the abdomen and back, and it seemed that he had suffered serious internal injuries. There was no feeling in the legs at all. Could it be that the spine was damaged? He felt dizzy, and he didn't know if he had a concussion. His right arm hung crookedly on his body, and it felt like it was broken, but fortunately his left arm could still move. Because he was wearing black and gold clothes, there was no bleeding or external injuries on his body, so he would not die from blood loss for the time being. But at this moment, his serious injuries made his heart sink slowly. He didn't know how long he had been hijacked or how far he had traveled. Chang Ning gradually adapted to the darkness in front of him and could even vaguely see the outlines of the surroundings in the darkness. Logically speaking, there should be no light in the underground world now, so how could he see anything? Chang Ning, who was seriously injured and in crisis, had no spare energy to think about these. The pace of the Lost Heart Ghost leader was getting slower and slower. Chang Ning estimated that the blow he was hit hard by Li Ling was not light. Finally, the Lost Heart Ghost leader stopped and threw Chang Ning heavily to the ground. Chang Ning felt that several bones in his body were broken in an instant. After the Lost Heart Ghost threw Chang Ning, he looked down at Chang Ning, then slowly squatted down and slid his fingers back and forth near Chang Ning's crown. It seemed to be looking for a suitable position to open his mouth. Chang Ning understood that he was going to open his head to get the star core. The reason why humans are so afraid of the Lost Heart Ghost and are full of hatred for the Lost Heart Ghost is not only because of the Lost Heart Ghost's terrible appearance and strange abilities, but also because the Lost Heart Ghost can be said to be the natural enemy of the awakened. The power core and star core of the awakened are great tonics for the Lost Heart Ghost. It seems that this seriously injured, lost heart ghost leader has to rely on his own star core to replenish energy and recover from his injuries. However, Chang Ning is unwilling to be the fertilizer of the lost heart ghost. Now he can only use his left arm. Fortunately, he still holds the Skywalker #1 laser sword in his left hand. Now is not the time to stand up and fight the lost heart ghost with a bayonet. Chang Ning can't stand up at all. Even if he can stand up, he will definitely not be able to beat it. Then he can only use a sneak attack. Chang Ning leaned against the wall weakly, looking completely unable to move. In fact, he was already weak enough. If he hadn't held on for a breath, he would have fainted long ago. The leader of the lost ghost slowly approached him, and Chang Ning could smell the disgusting stench in its mouth. "Come closer. Come closer." Chang Ning roared in his heart, but there was no expression on his face, as if he had fainted. Finally, the leader of the lost ghost came close enough. Chang Ning suddenly opened his eyes, and at the same time, he pressed hard with his left thumb to pull the hilt of the Skywalker #1 laser sword to its longest length. The position of the hilt was just facing the chest of the lost ghost leader before, and now the laser beam suddenly appeared and stabbed into its body. Ouch. The leader of the lost ghost screamed wildly and was about to raise his hand to kill Chang Ning. But Chang Ning had already turned his wrist when the beam of light stabbed into its body. The body of the lost ghost leader was immediately divided into 2 sections, and the arm slipped out only a dozen centimeters away from Chang Ning's head. The 2 sections of the body fell to the ground at the same time, and there was no sound. Chang Ning was very grateful for the laser, an indestructible weapon without a physical body. Otherwise, even with the sharpest knife, it would not be possible to cut the leader of the lost heart ghost. After all, Chang Ning was too weak, and a little resistance could stop his movement. The body of the lost heart ghost leader, broken into 2 sections, fell beside Chang Ning, and dark and smelly blood rolled out of its chest. Along with the blood, there was also a piece of crystal-like sapphire, emitting a faint light in the dark space. This is the shape of the thymus. This is the force core. The force core of the master level lost heart ghost. Chang Ning stretched out his left hand and took the force core in his hand. Then his eyes went black and he fainted. I don't know how much time has passed in the darkness. Chang Ning feels like he has returned to the night when he first awakened. The feeling of scorching and boiling filled his body. The difference is that what he had in his mind at the time was a wall of flaming steel, which melted a little iron juice and sprinkled it on the sea, forming a large area of bright starlight. But this time, he did not have this illusion, but felt that he was placed under the scorching sun, and the hot and dazzling sun shone on him. He felt that he was going blind and dying of thirst. But he could not move at all, and he could not turn his eyes away. Am I going to be roasted to death by this sun? Chang Ning thought in his heart. No, I can't die yet. Everything outside is just getting on track, and I'm still needed. I haven't studied the secret of the black hole yet, and I haven't returned to the 21st century to see. I can't die. Chang Ning gritted his teeth and held on tightly under the scorching sun. After an unknown amount of time, the scorching sun finally dimmed and eventually went out. Chang Ning fell into a deep sleep again. When he woke up again, he found himself in a cave, with several stalactites above his head and a hard stone bed under him. There was no lighting in the cave, but he could see every item in it very clearly. This is where. He sat up suddenly, feeling his head splitting and his chest burning. Hey, I can move. After sitting up, Chang Ning suddenly realized this. He jumped out of bed and took a few steps without any worries. What happened? He only remembered that he was robbed by the leader of the lost heart ghost, and in the end it seemed to be killed by himself. Then what happened? He didn't remember at all. How did he appear here? How did the countless broken bones and internal injuries on his body heal? He didn't know at all. The people inside seemed to wake up. At this time, a thick voice came from outside, and Chang Ning's heart suddenly shuddered, and he looked towards the door of the room. P.S. As you can see, this book has already been a failure, and it is a failure among failures, commonly known as the king of failures. So this book will be on the shelves tomorrow, and it will be finished after a short period of update. After it is on the shelves, I will let all those who invest in this book get the benefits of all nodes. This is also the only thing that the king of failures can do for readers. After it is on the shelves, I hope that everyone who has the ability will still subscribe. After all, it's not much. It may not cost a few dollars and the book will be gone. Well, that's all. Chapter 128 Adventures in the Underground World. Subscription request. What's going on? Yan Xian Su saw Yan Qian Qian coming in, stood up suddenly, and asked hopefully. Yan Qian Qian shook her head and sighed. I still haven't found him. It's been 3 days. Chang Ning. Yan Xian Su's eyes were red again. Yang Bao, Lin Yuqian, Jia Yao, Zulan, Huan Qian, and Ko Jinglan walked in from the door one after another, and sat in the meeting room of the Yancheng decision-making committee with Yan Xianzu and Zun Lu. Everyone was silent, and the atmosphere seemed very depressing. 3 days ago, they repelled the attack of the army of Lost Heart Ghosts. A Lost Heart Ghost leader with strength above the Grand Master level brought 700 or 800 Lost Heart Ghosts to attack Yancheng, leaving behind 500 or 600 corpses, and then retreated. The ordinary Lost Heart Ghosts took advantage of the sun not rising, and fled in all directions, and no one knew where they ran to. The Lost Heart Ghost leader kidnapped Chang Ning, broke through the outer wall of Yancheng, and ran to the underground level of Yancheng. For 3 days, most of the awakened people in Yancheng have been looking for Chang Ning in the underground level. The first underground floor, the second underground floor, the subway floor. They searched layer by layer, bit by bit with strong flashlights. But the underground of Yancheng is too big. After 100 awakened people went in, it was like a drop of water thrown into the sea. There was no exhibition at all. Although everyone worked hard, no trace of Chang Ning, and the leader of the Lost Heart Ghost has been found so far. Chang Ning has been abducted for 3 days. Being abducted by a fierce and powerful monster for so long, it is impossible for him to live a good life. Keep looking. Jia Yao. You will take charge of the daily work of Yancheng, and I will go find it myself. Yan Xianzu gritted his teeth and stood up. It's dark now. It won't be too late to go tomorrow. Huan Qian stopped Yan Xianzu. It's been 3 days. God knows if Chang Ning will still be alive in another day. Yan Xianzu bypassed Huan Qian and continued to walk towards the door. Maybe he's dead, Huan Qian said behind her. Yan Xianzu turned back suddenly, glared at Huan Qian fiercely, but didn't say anything, and continued to walk out. I'll go with you. Yan Qian, who had just sat down, stood up again, and followed Yan Xianzu. And me. Yang Bao also walked over. I'll go too. Zun Lu picked up the shotgun on the table, and put it on his back, and followed Yan Xianzu. At this time, Chang Ning had just woken up from a long coma. He moved his body, and was surprised that his serious injury was almost healed. Then he heard someone talking outside. This is deep underground. There are actually people living there? Chang Ning frowned and remembered the second time he met the bear leopard. At that time, several of them, the relic hunters, were crawling out of the underground world of Yancheng. They were exhausted because they encountered a large group of cave dwellers underground and the two sides had a conflict. Cave dwellers. Was he saved by them? Chang Ning walked to the door of the cave stone house. Outside was an empty underground cave, and you couldn't see the top. When you looked up, the cave was very large, and Chang Ning could see many stars and lights in the distance. On the wall of the cave at the entrance, there was also a row of more than a dozen other stone doors. It seemed that this was a large group living area. At the door of the stone gate next to him, there were 2 people standing. One was a man in his 40s or 50s, very thin, with prominent cheekbones, and lush hair, eyebrows, and beard. Next to him was a teenage girl. Although she was called a girl, she was actually more like a little girl, short and thin. Judging from her facial features and expression, she was probably an adult. The 3 people looked at each other for a while, and the 2 people opposite put their hands on their chests first, bent down and said to Chang Ning, "Warrior who slaughtered demons, are you awake?" Warrior who slaughtered demons. Chang Ning thought about it, maybe because he killed the leader of the crazy ghost. He nodded. "Did you save me? Where is this?" The girl bowed her head and saluted again, saying, "This is Huayu City. I'm Shen Yan, and this is my father Shen Ping." Huayu City? A city built in the underground world, actually called this name? Chang Ning found it a little incredible. Shen Yan continued, "We didn't save you, we just brought you back from the scene of the battle with the devil." Chang Ning nodded and said sincerely, "Thank you anyway." It seemed that, after he killed the leader of the Lost Heart Ghost, he fainted on the spot. It was the father and daughter who moved him back to the house and rested on the bed. Wait. He remembered that after the Lost Heart Ghost died, he caught the Lost Heart Ghost's power core. Where is the power core? Just when he was confused, there was a commotion not far away. Assemble. Assemble. About 100 meters to the left, many people ran out of the cave in the wall. Get ready for battle formation. There was another voice like the leader, organizing the team. This is. Chang Ning was puzzled. Shen said, "Hero, it's like this. Deep underground in Ahuayu City, demons and giant insects attack from time to time. Judging from the situation, there should be invaders. Our combat team went to meet the enemy." Chang Ning nodded. It seemed that the underground was similar to the ground, and there were harassment from lost heart ghosts and evil beasts. However, in the underground world, most of the evil beasts are various insects. As soon as the team over there gathered, they heard a loud noise from a distance, and a centipede that was 5 or 6 meters long broke out of the ground. It was so exciting. Chang Ning stared at the centipede in front of him, stunned. If the evil beasts on the ground shocked him because of the strange species, then the insects in the underground world made him feel huge physical discomfort. Many people would feel instinctively disgusted by insects that were originally a few centimeters in size. What's more, they were suddenly magnified hundreds of times. The tentacles, leg hairs, restraints and other details that were originally difficult to see were clearly visible under the body size of several meters. That feeling was really sour. However, Shen and Shen, father and daughter next to them, did not have any surprised expressions. They were accustomed to the size of this insect. They just frowned. "It looks like a king-level giant insect." Shen frowned and said to Shen Ping. Nodded. "Let's go and help." Then he turned to Chang Ning and said, "Hero, please wait a moment. There is some trouble over there. We need to go and help." After that, the two turned around and quickly went in the direction of the centipede and the combat team. Chang Ning touched his body. The Skywalker #1 laser sword was still there, but the Desert Eagle was nowhere to be found. It was probably left on the road when it was hijacked by the leader of the Lost Heart Ghost. But Chang Ning was not afraid of the laser sword. Since he was rescued by someone kindly, he couldn't just stand by and watch them get into trouble. He gripped the laser sword and ran in the direction of the battle. Running at full speed, Chang Ning suddenly felt a flash in front of his eyes, and everything was flying backwards. Oh my god. When did I run so fast? Before Chang Ning finished spitting out this groan in his heart, his body had already crossed hundreds of meters and arrived at the battlefield. "Get out of the way," he shouted. A group of Huayu City soldiers also felt bad when they heard the wind behind them, and they reacted in time and got out of the way. Bang! With a loud bang, Chang Ning's body directly collided with the centipede, breaking the centipede's long body into 2 pieces. Shen, who had not yet reached the battlefield, opened his mouth wide. Heroes are indeed heroes, and they are really different from normal people. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 129 Grandmaster Xiao Awakener. Subscription request. Chang Ning felt that he had no control over his body. The first run, after waking up from a coma, was completely beyond his expectations. Almost in the blink of an eye, he ran a distance of more than 100 meters, much faster than the fastest car in the 21st century. There was no sign of stopping until he was about to hit the giant centipede, and he thought of slowing down. The deceleration process was very fast, but after he stood still, he found that he had come to the back of the giant centipede, and the long centipede had been broken into 2 sections, and the 2 parts of the body were twisting on the ground, struggling violently. This, Chang Ning was like in a dream, and was very surprised by everything he had just done. He lowered his head and touched his body, and there was no pain at all, and he was not injured. Is his physique so strong? He fought against the centipede and broke it, and he was fine. While he was still in a daze, the warriors of the underground city Huayu City cheered and ran towards the broken centipede. The centipede had been broken into 2 sections. Although it struggled hard, it had completely lost its consciousness. Only the nerves in the 2 sections of its body continued to reflex. After a group of soldiers ran over, they quickly and skillfully cut off the centipede's legs and feet, pried open the centipede's outer armor along the limbs, and decomposed it into smaller sections. Although the decomposed centipede meat was still throbbing, the centipede was definitely dead. At this time, Shen Yun and Shen Ping walked to Chang Ning. Shen Yun was surprised and said, "Hero, you are so amazing. A king-level giant insect, you can actually break it directly." Chang Ning scratched his head. Lucky. I don't know what level of evil beast outside the king-level giant insect they are talking about corresponds to, but judging from the strength, it is estimated to be between advanced and master level. My current physical strength and physical fitness seem to be stronger than young Qian Qian, and it is definitely beyond the Grandmaster level. Could it be because of the power core of the insane ghost leader before he fainted? But Chang Ning had seen Xiao's force core transplantation process in Yaozen. It was similar to a surgical operation, where his thymus was removed, and a force core was replaced in its place. He fainted just by holding the force core of the lost heart ghost leader in his hand, so he was sure that he had not undergone any surgery. Thinking of this, he reached out and touched his chest. He didn't feel any pain or wound. What was going on? Chang Ning couldn't figure it out at once, but he was sure that his wounds were healing quickly and his physique was improving rapidly, which should be related to the force core of the lost heart ghost. After all, he now has the power of a Grandmaster level Shineman Awakener, and the force core is gone. But how it works can only be explored slowly. Hero. Shen Yun was about to say something, but Chang Ning raised his hand to interrupt her. Don't call me a hero. My name is Chang Ning. Oh. Shen Yun nodded. Hero Chang Ning, you seem to have been seriously injured when you fought with the devil before. Are you fully recovered now? Chang Ning nodded. I'm fully recovered. Thank you for your care. Shen Yun smiled and said, we didn't take care of you. By the way, how far is this place from the ground? Do you know the way to the ground? Chang Ning asked. His mental power has become extremely strong now, and he is very sensitive to the control of time. After waking up until now, he suddenly realized that he has been in a coma for 3 days. He was kidnapped by the leader of the Lost Heart Ghost on the battlefield. He has been missing for so long, and the people in Yuncheng should be very worried. Now that he is well, it is better to go back quickly. Shen Yun nodded. She knew that Chang Ning came from the ground. From the color of his skin and the smell on his body, he could be clearly distinguished from the humans underground. The people of the Huayu city also moved down from the ground a long time ago. According to the legend of their ancestors, a great disaster occurred at that time, and it was not safe to live on the surface, so many people moved underground in groups. But after living underground for a period of time, most people died, and only a small number of people survived. The people who survived also had some obvious differences from the humans on the surface, and these differences became greater and greater with the reproduction of generations. For example, the skin of the humans underground is always pale, the pupils of the eyes are larger, the emotional fluctuations are smaller, there isn't lingering smell of soil on the body, and so on. Shen Yun has also seen several people from the ground. They call themselves relic hunters, but they are actually thieves. After sneaking into the underground city, they started stealing things. Of course, these people were beaten away by the warriors in the underground city. Chang Ning is the first surface human she has come into close contact with, and she feels that he has a completely different temperament from the residents of Huayu City. Calm, confident, and perhaps the legendary sunshine? She was quite interested in Chang Ning. Now that she heard that he was about to leave, she couldn't help but say, Hero, you just woke up and haven't taken a look around Huayu City yet. Are you in such a hurry to leave? Chang Ning smiled and said, there will be plenty of opportunities in the future. Anyway, this place is not far from where I live. It's just that there was no way to get down before. I have been unconscious for several days. My companions on the ground should be very worried about me, so I'd better go up first to reassure them. Shen Yun nodded helplessly. Okay, I'll take you up. Then he turned to Shenping and said, "Dad, is it okay?" Shenping nodded at her. Chang Ning's strength is obviously better than everyone in Huayu City. Even if everyone goes up together, they may not be able to beat him. So he doesn't need to have any bad intentions. Let his daughter follow him. It's still reassuring. Then let's go. Shen Yun didn't hesitate and turned around and took Chang Ning in one direction. How long has your Huayu City moved underground? How many people are there now? Chang Ning followed and asked while walking side by side with Shen Yun. He was quite curious about the underground city. According to Xiao, not only in Shanghai, but also near other large human gathering areas, there have been some underground cities and cave dwellers. There must be some reason for this. And it is said that the cave dwellers have a different lifestyle from the humans on the surface. Generally speaking, it seems that their technology is more advanced. So when I met the cave dwellers and they were very friendly to me, I took the opportunity to find out some information. Shen Yun did not hide it. While walking, she whispered, "I heard from my father that our ancestors moved down a long time ago. It has been about 300 hot moons and 300 cold moons." Hot moon? Cold moon? The first sentence made Chang Ning stunned. Then he suddenly realized that the people in the underground city could not see the sun all year round, nor could they see the changing seasons on the surface. Their concept of time should be the cycle of cooling and heating, right? But in this case, it seems that the people underground do not experience the black moon. Then is there no awakener in the underground city? There are about 300 to 400 people living in Huayu City now, and there are some residents who do not belong to Huayu City and the surrounding area. There are about 500 to 600 people in the underground world. Shen Yun continued to narrate. And Chang Ning also listened carefully, asked questions from time to time, and gradually learned a lot of secrets of the underground people. Chapter 130, The Past of Flower City. Following Shen Yun's narration, Chang Ning roughly restored the origin of the underground cave dwellers. In the apocalyptic disaster 300 years ago, many people believed that the second sun in the sky caused the disaster. So soon after the second sun appeared, a group of firm doomsday believers moved underground. The so-called doomsday believers are a group of people who have always believed that the end of the world is coming and will make various preparations for the end of the world. Such people already exist in the 21st century when Chang Ning lives, and the group is not small. In the 21st century, Chang Ning could often see their traces on the internet. Digging underground shelters, learning doomsday survival knowledge, hoarding doomsday survival supplies, and outdoor physical training. People at that time regarded these as a hobby, and even similar clubs appeared. Many of the large piles of supplies that Chang Ning brought to this era were bought based on posts from doomsday enthusiasts. This group of people remained active until the 24th century, after experiencing the Great Divide of humanity. When the second sun appeared in the sky, they immediately realized that something was unusual and felt that the end of the world was coming. So a large number of doomsday believers took their own supplies and moved to the deepest underground they could reach. Of course, it is estimated that some people also moved into the shelters they dug themselves, but in this era, people on the surface and underground have never heard of the existence of any shelters, and it is estimated that the people in the shelters finally died. In short, because the second sun was avoided in the first time, the survivors underground generally had a higher survival rate than those on the surface. In Chang Ning's exploration of the surrounding areas of Yuncheng and Haching, all the traces of the first batch of humans after the doomsday disaster were children, basically no more than 8 years old, and all teenagers and adults died in the doomsday disaster. And the first batch of humans underground, except for a few elderly people with poor health, all young and middle-aged people survived. They had enough supplies, enough tools, and the inheritance of human civilization. At the beginning, their life underground was not bad. But although they avoided the second sun, they could no longer see their own sun. A few years later, more and more people began to suffer from various strange diseases, mainly due to the lack of various vitamins and hormone disorders in the body. Even if some of the underground people are professional doctors, it is difficult to figure out and treat these diseases. This is a disease caused by a long period of lack of light and a sudden change in the living environment, which is different from the common diseases of humans in the past. More people suffered from depression and the suicide rate was getting higher and higher. Not long after, the underground people experienced a large-scale population reduction. The original group of tens of thousands of people was reduced to a few thousand people. Although the remaining people have gradually adapted to life underground, even their body structures have undergone subtle changes. But the materials and tools brought by the first batch of people were gradually exhausted, and the survivors were not enough to establish a civilization that could produce the materials of the past. In the end, the current underground people are not much different from those humans on the ground, who have no civilization heritage. Due to the long period of no communication, they are even called cave dwellers by the surface humans. The surface humans even think that the underground people are not the same species as them, and have a natural tendency to dislike them. If Chang Ning had not killed a heartless ghost leader this time, Shen and his daughter would not have saved him. They also have a bad impression of the surface humans. However, a hero who can kill a heartless ghost leader is worthy of respect, wherever he is placed. So Shen and his daughter saved Chang Ning without hesitation. The two walked and talked. When Chang Ning finished talking about the history of the underground people, he saw the railroad tracks. They should have reached the subway level. In fact, the doomsday disaster on the surface has passed 300 years ago. Chang Ning said to Shen, "You don't have to hide underground for so long." Shen shook his head, and a trace of fear appeared on his pale face. They were born and raised underground for generations, and they had a natural fear of the surface. "I think we are still not suitable for living on the surface. It's good underground." "How do you know it's not suitable if you haven't come up?" Chang Ning sighed, and didn't want to force them. However, when Yancheng's industrial production capacity is increased, some urgently needed materials such as generators and lighting equipment can be sent to them, and then the two sides will gradually deepen their understanding. In the end, he believes that the underground people and the surface people can still live in harmony. A subway platform appeared in front. Shanghai Development Building East. Shen stopped. "Hero Chang Ning, you should know the way here, right?" Chang Ning nodded. Even if he didn't know the way, it would be no problem to follow the subway station to the ground. "Just take me here, I'll go back by myself." "Okay, after you go back, come to Huaryu City again, when you have time." Shen was a little reluctant. "No problem, goodbye." It had been too long since he left Yancheng, and he disappeared directly from the battlefield, so he was anxious to go back and take a look. Shen stood there, watching Chang Ning's back disappear, then slowly turned around and walked back. Finally back to the ground, walking out of the subway station, Chang Ning took a deep breath and felt the fragrance of the grass and trees on the surface. This exit was not far from the elevator on the balcony on the east side of Yancheng, and Chang Ning walked over there leisurely. The sky was a little dark, but the east was already turning pale, and it should be dawn now. Not far away, Chang Ning heard a commotion on the balcony. Chang Jiangzang. Chang Jiangzang is back. Then the crowd on the balcony began to move. After a while, the elevator came down, and Xiao came out first. Chang Jiangzang. Before the elevator stopped, Xiao trotted over, and then looked Chang Ning up and down. Seeing that his arms and legs were all intact, he couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. "You're back." Chang Ning smiled at her. "I'm sorry to have worried you. Let's go up." Xiao shook her head. "Lord Yun and Qian are still looking for you down there." "Looking for me?" Chang Ning was a little surprised. He could understand that Yun Qian was looking for him. She was originally a powerful Shaman awakener and the best fighter around Yancheng. But it was a bit strange that Yun Qianzu was also looking for him. She was a Stargate awakener whose abilities had nothing to do with combat. Wouldn't it be a nuisance for her to go to the underground where the situation was complicated and changeable to look for him? Besides, the army of insane ghosts had just been repelled. Who knew if there were other insane ghosts hiding down there? Now it was dark again, and the insane ghosts and evil beasts would be more active. Where did they go down? Chang Ning was a little uneasy and turned to walk towards the first floor entrance of the Yancheng building. "It's the warehouse entrance," Xiao replied. Chang Ning nodded, knowing that it was the most common route for people from Yancheng to go down, and he had been there several times. "I'll go and see." Then he turned and left. Xiao stared in amazement as Chang Ning turned into a shadow and left in front of him. Then he heard a loud noise coming from inside the Yuncheng building. What happened? Chapter 131 once again. Oh my god. Chang Ning, how did you do it? Xiao just ran to the entrance of the Yuncheng building when he heard a voice coming from inside, which seemed to be from Zunlu. Hey, that's how you did it. This was Chang Ning's voice. Your kick has at least the power of master level Shineman Awakener, right? This was Yan Xianzu's voice. After a while, several people came out together, talking and laughing. It turned out that when Chang Ning went in just now, the corridor of the road he often walked on was blocked by several piles of boulders. It was probably caused by the crazy ghosts who escaped in the last battle. Chang Ning went up and kicked the boulders away, just in time to see the Chang Ning search and rescue team walking back in the distance. So everyone came out together again. Several people in Yuncheng were surprised that Chang Ning suddenly had such a powerful power. So Chang Ning briefly told about his experience after being kidnapped by the leader of the crazy ghosts. Everyone sighed that he had a blessing in disguise, and they were really happy for Chang Ning. After returning to the interior of the Yuncheng building, everyone who had not slept all night went back to their rooms to rest. Chang Ning didn't go back. He knocked on Yan Xianzu's door. What happened? Yan Xianzu opened the door and saw that it was Chang Ning and was a little flustered. Don't do stupid things in the future. Chang Ning stood at the door and said, everyone has their own strengths. You can help me in the field you are good at. If you get injured because of the search and rescue, wouldn't it delay a lot of other things for me? Oh. Yan Xianzu lowered his head. Chang Ning smiled at her and turned to walk to his room. Wait. Yan Xianzu called him. What's wrong? Chang Ning turned his head and said, that, come in. Chang Ning turned and walked towards Yan Xianzu's room. What's the matter? Come in and you will know. Yan Xianzu stood at the door of the room. After seeing Chang Ning enter the door, he closed the door with his backhand and locked it. Chang Ning stood at the door and looked at her, not knowing what she was going to do. Yan Xianzu took a step forward, stood in front of Chang Ning, and suddenly closed his eyes. Then he slowly put his face close to Chang Ning's face. Chang Ning stared at Yan Xianzu who was approaching slowly. With his current strength, he could certainly easily avoid her. But Chang Ning seemed to be under a spell, motionless. Finally, Yan Xianzu's lips touched Chang Ning's lips. The cold, soft touch made Chang Ning feel like eating a popsicle in summer. The two bodies then pressed together. Just when Yan Xianzu was about to get closer, Chang Ning suddenly pushed her away gently. What's wrong? Yan Xianzu's face was full of confusion. Wait until we install running water. Chang Ning tidied her clothes, opened the door and ran away. Tap water? Yan Xianzu asked in confusion, and then he understood something and gritted his teeth in the direction Chang Ning left. Chang Ning ran back to his room like a fly, his heart pounding. His current ability can flexibly control every inch of muscle in his body, but he still can't calm down. He grabbed his clothes and smelled them. He had sweated a lot when he was refreshing the residential building in Xingfu community before. Later, the army of lost ghosts suddenly attacked and fought for another night. Then he was captured by the leader of the Lost Heart Ghost, and his body was stained with the stench of the Lost Heart Ghost. Then he fainted in a pool of blood for 3 whole days. After waking up, he broke another big centipede. Chang Ning himself was disgusted with himself. He walked into the bathroom, and the water tank was full. It seemed that the little maid Su Panpan had not been lazy during the few days when he was away from home. So he quickly took off his clothes and washed himself. While washing, there was a smile on the corner of his mouth, and I don't know what he was thinking. In the next few days, Yuncheng was really back to normal. Chang Ning accumulated great prestige in the battle with the Lost Heart Ghost. Under his promotion, most of the people who came from outside Yuncheng to fight against the Lost Heart Ghost decided to stay and become new residents of Yuncheng. The pre-war decision-making committee was expanded to 11 people, and a new Yuncheng representative conference was established, which became the highest authority in Yuncheng. The leaders of the original citizen towns fought for the rights and interests of their people in this representative conference. New residential areas and new factories are being built every day. The students in the literacy class run by Zunlu have also expanded to all new Yuncheng residents. In this peaceful and positive environment, Chang Ning packed his backpack again. "Can't you not go?" Yan Xianzu helped Chang Ning to tidy up his clothes. "No. Can't I go with you? You will only make trouble." "Oh." The two walked out of the room silently and went to the rooftop on the 21st floor of Yancheng. The morning sun had just risen and shone on Yan Xianzu's fair face. She was looking worried. Chang Ning shook her hand. "Wait for me, it's okay, I'll be down in the evening." After helping Yancheng enter orbit, Chang Ning decided to go to Yancheng's superstructure to explore again. This time he was completely different from before. With the power of the Shaman Awakener, he could easily explore the superstructure. In the past few days, he also roughly tested his Shaman ability, strength, speed, reaction, muscle control. All indicators are good. It should be the same as Yun Qian, awakening the fighting family. This gave Chang Ning a lot of confidence. In the upper layer of Yancheng, that had been initially explored before, there might be remains of Richard, which is a crucial clue for Chang Ning to return to the 21st century. So he couldn't miss it. He had made a plan early in the morning, and today was the day he would continue to explore. "Then you go early and come back early." Yan Xianzu pinched Chang Ning's palm. Chang Ning nodded, stepped lightly, and his speed increased to a terrifying level. 10 seconds later, he came to the edge of Yancheng, where he had climbed twice. There was no need to use flying claws to slowly climb up layer by layer as before. Chang Ning is now flexible and has strong explosive power. He jumped directly on the spot, gently jumped to the first protrusion more than 3 meters high from the rooftop, and then turned around and continued to jump. Although the protrusions were more than 3 meters apart, Chang Ning jumped up step by step easily like hopscotch on flat ground. Just a few minutes later, he came to the base platform of the upper structure of Yancheng again. Standing by the railing of the platform, thinking of the scene of climbing from morning to noon the first 2 times, it seemed like a lifetime ago. Chang Ning took out the rappelling rope from his backpack and tied a rappelling knot on the railing. Although his strength had changed dramatically, it was still better to be cautious. But this time, he didn't need to tie the rope around his waist. If he encountered danger and needed to retreat, Chang Ning still had the confidence to run to the railing. If he couldn't run to the railing with his current skills, then this rappelling rope would be basically useless. He sorted out the rope and put his backpack back on. Chang Ning walked slowly past Yunrang's tomb, past the former residences of Shen and Xiao, and came to the street that connected the superstructure of Yancheng. Chapter 132 Digging for Survival. This was the farthest place Chang Ning had walked during his last exploration. Chang Ning looked up at the elevator column that soared into the sky in the center of the huge building in Yancheng and decided to use it to go up to the 168th floor. From Chang Ning's position to the 168th floor, he still needed to climb more than 80 floors, which was equivalent to a vertical distance of more than 300 meters. For an ordinary person, or Chang Ning a few days ago, climbing so many floors would definitely be a dreadful experience, taking several hours and being exhausted to the point of half-death. But for Chang Ning at the scene, it was a piece of cake. He walked leisurely on this high-altitude street in Yancheng, surrounded by silence, with only the wind blowing the abandoned trademarks and signs left over from hundreds of years ago, as well as the curtains of the households upstairs. Young Qian had told him before that according to legend, there were many dangers in the upper buildings of Yancheng. Liling must be one of them. He had not encountered other dangers in his first 2 explorations. The upper buildings of Yancheng were very desolate after the apocalypse, and it didn't look like there were any evil beasts living there. There were even few plants here. The ground was originally a steel forest and a concrete road, but it has long returned to nature after 300 years. But there is no soil on the upper level of Yancheng, only some weeds growing randomly. Passing by the broken glass windows, Chang Ning felt that this place had a feeling of a 21st century doomsday movie. Not long after, he came to the huge elevator column. This elevator column once ran through the entire huge building of Yancheng before the doomsday. Later, the elevator column collapsed and the huge space from the 21st to the 88th floor, including the buildings from the 21st to the 88th floor, Chang Ning didn't know where they went. Between the 21st floor rooftop and the 88th floor, a strange huge space was formed, causing difficulties in connecting the upper and lower parts of Yancheng. Chang Ning only knew that the buildings in the middle disappeared a long time ago. At least in the records of Shen and Xiao at that time, there was no existence of these buildings. And when the elevator column collapsed, there is still no clear answer. But in the building below the 21st floor, there is also the lower half of this huge elevator column. In the huge empty warehouse on the 4th floor, the lower half of the elevator column is extremely conspicuous. The elevator on the upper floor is a sightseeing elevator that Chang Ning often sees in the 21st century. There is a thick glass wall outside. This huge circle of glass has not been broken after 300 years. Chang Ning guessed that it was probably some special glass. Of course, the elevator inside has been out of use for a long time. Chang Ning stood under the elevator in trance, thought for a while, and then took out a mattock from his bag. He prepared a lot of tools for this upper exploration, and this was one of them. He remembered a strange game he played in the 21st century, digging for survival. In the game, the player controls a man sitting in a big jar. This man has no legs, only 2 arms that can move, and he also uses a mattock. The player controls this man to swing the mattock on the ground in various ways, generating a reaction force and bringing the man up. There are many strange designs in the level, which often make players fail and accidentally fall back to the original place at a very high place. This game was popular for a while at the time. Now Chang Ning decided to learn from the strange way of rising in the game. He weighed the hoe in his hand, then swung it violently and smashed it into the elevator glass. Then spider web-like cracks suddenly appeared on the glass, but it still did not break. Chang Ning nodded, which was in line with his expectations. Then he exerted force downward, and the huge reaction force carried him and the hoe upward. But because Chang Ning's force was not vertical, but at a certain angle to the elevator, so he did not go vertically upward. Seeing that he flew up 20 or 30 meters, but was getting farther and farther away from the elevator, Chang Ning sighed. It seemed that this way of playing was not going well. But in an instant he smiled again. Although he was getting farther and farther away from the elevator, he had already flown to a position very close to the outer wall of the building next to him. Then Chang Ning backhanded the mattock and hammered it against the wall of the building again. As bricks flew everywhere, Chang Ning gained another upward momentum and turned back to fly to the outer wall of the glass elevator. In this way, Chang Ning kept hammering back and forth with the mattock between the outer wall of the glass elevator and the outer wall of the brick building. Along with some broken glass and bricks, his body continued to rise, and soon he flew up nearly 200 meters. A platform appeared above again. Chang Ning used a hoe to fly to the edge of the platform, then reached out to grab the railing on the platform, and stood on it 138th floor. Chang Ning looked at the floor sign and suddenly thought of another small game he played in the 21st century. If you are a man, go to the 100th floor. Now he went directly to the 138th floor, and he felt a sense of accomplishment. There was no way, in this deserted ruin, if Chang Ning didn't want to have some fun. He was afraid that his nerves would be too tight. On this floor, a larger platform appeared between the 2 separated buildings of the superstructure of Yancheng, which looked like a place for outdoor activities. Chang Ning could see several basketball courts in the distance, and there were also some traces of small stalls on the roadside. More places were flower beds in the old world, now overgrown with various weeds. In some places, several large trees more than 10 meters high grew. I don't know how such a small amount of flower bed soil can support such a big tree. And at the northernmost part of this platform, Chang Ning found a huge bird's nest. Is it a mutated bird beast? He is now 200 or 300 meters away from the bird's nest. From this position, there is no movement over there. Is this an abandoned bird's nest, or has the owner gone out to find food? Relying on the ability of the current Shineman Stargate Dual System Grandmaster Awakener, he quietly moved towards the bird's nest and prepared to go and explore 100 meters, 50 meters. Chang Ning was getting closer and closer to the bird's nest, but still didn't find anything unusual. It's just that the smell nearby has become a little more unpleasant, and it seems that there is some smell of rotten meat and strange bad droppings that permeate the nearby ground and walls 20 meters. 10 meters. Until he approached this huge bird's nest with a diameter of more than 3 meters, there was still no movement. It seems that the owner is really not there. He jumped up lightly, reached out to climb the nearby wall, and looked down into the bird's nest from a high position. There were many rotten bones left in the bird's nest. Some of them were animals and some were humans. But it looked like they had been there for a long time, and there were no fresh bodies inside. In addition to the bones, there were 3 huge bird eggs in the bird's nest, each of which was probably more than 30 centimeters long, larger than the ostrich eggs Chang Ning had seen in the 21st century. Is this bird egg delicious? Chang Ning couldn't help licking his tongue. Then, he felt a vigorous vitality emanating from one of the eggs. Chapter 133 Richard's former residence. After checking the area for a long time, Chang Ning determined that the bird's nest should have been abandoned for a while, but not for long. It could be 10 days, or 1 or 2 months. It is estimated that the owner of the bird's nest fell outside during a hunt not long ago and never came back. But there are 3 bad eggs left in the bird's nest. Although there has been no mother bird hatching for a while, these 3 eggs still maintain a certain activity. It should be related to the location of the bird's nest, where there is plenty of sunshine. One of the eggs is very energetic, and Chang Ning's mental power can feel its vitality. Is this a bird egg that is about to hatch successfully? I don't know if it can successfully break out of the shell without the mother bird to continue hatching. But it seems that, even if it breaks out of the shell, the young bird that can't find food will lose the mother bird's feeding, and won't live long, right? Maybe I can take it down. Chang Ning made a decision silently in his heart, and then turned around, and continued to go upstairs. Even if he wants to take it down, he won't take it away now. In case he encounters a place where he needs to fight upstairs, this bird egg will easily break if he carries it with him. This time he did not choose to dig for survival to continue going upstairs, as he had played enough. And seeing the huge bird's nest on this floor, he decided to keep a low profile. The evil beast on this floor happened to be gone, but who knows what dangers are waiting for him up there. He turned and walked to a nearby entrance, and walked into the building. He was ready to climb the stairs honestly, but the stairs that had not been walked for 300 years were very dusty, and many steps were seriously rotten, and he often stepped on empty air after a few steps. After climbing 3 or 4 floors, Chang Ning couldn't stand it anymore, so he flipped out of the window in the stairwell, and climbed outside the wall like Spider-Man. Although it was a little tiring, at least he didn't eat dust. Compared with Chang Ning's current physical strength, these were not a problem. Half an hour later, he stuck his head out of the window and looked inside. 167th floor. Here we are. He flipped back into the window again, came to the stairwell on the 167th floor, and then slowly walked up the stairs to the 168th floor. Richard's business card said that he lived on the 168th floor, room 905. Chang Ning came from the 21st century to the 27th century through the black hole in the laboratory. The machine that makes the black hole seems to be normal and can be used. Theoretically, Chang Ning can use this machine to create another black hole and return to the 21st century. However, the activation of the black hole requires X substance. After Chang Ning returned to the laboratory last time, he found that the X substance in the machine had been completely consumed. As a result, Chang Ning now has only the machine, but cannot operate it, and has no way to activate the black hole to go back. If the black hole can be opened for a long time, and it can shuttle back and forth between the 21st century and the 27th century, it would be so cool. So Chang Ning has always wanted to find X substance and restart the machine in the laboratory. The only clue at present is Richard, a scientist in the laboratory, whose former residence is on this floor. Before Chang Ning awakened the ability of the Heavenly Gate, it was difficult to climb here, and he was afraid of encountering any danger on the way. Now Chang Ning's strength has been qualitatively improved, so he came here as soon as possible to find Richard's former residence. Room 905. Chang Ning opened the door of the stairwell and came to the corridor on the 168th floor. The whole floor was filled with a rotten smell. There were no windows in the corridor. Even though the sun was high outside, the light here was still dim. It seemed that before the apocalypse, these high-rise buildings mainly used air conditioning to change the air and refresh the air. After the apocalypse, this place was abandoned, and there was no air conditioning, so the air circulation was relatively poor. The dim light and unpleasant smell did not constitute any obstacles to Chang Ning now. He held his breath and walked slowly in the corridor, trying not to stir up too much dust. Looking at the door he passed by, the house numbers here all started with 6, and it seemed that they were still far away from room 905. Although the high-rise buildings in Yanqing still looked intact on the outside, they were really rotten inside, with a lot of dust and serious corrosion. Chang Ning did not dare to move quickly inside. This is really a 300-year-old dangerous building. When more new communities are built below, all the residents of Yanqing will definitely move out, Chang Ning thought as he walked. Although the 168th floor is not as large as the 17th to 21st floors below, it is not small either. Chang Ning searched slowly for more than an hour before finally finding the location of room 905. This is it. Chang Ning took a deep breath and slowly pushed the iron security door. The door was locked. He took out the laser sword Skywalker number 1 and cut a circle along the door frame. Then he pushed it gently again. In the dust, the iron door fell down, and Chang Ning saw the scene in the house. Entering the door is a huge living room with an area of more than 100 square meters. It can be seen that the decoration before the end of the world was very luxurious, but now it has become shabby. On one side of the living room is a whole floor-to-ceiling window facing the east. Standing by the window of the living room, you can see the Pujiang River and the sea. This house must have been very expensive before the end of the world. Chang Ning came to a conclusion. There was a strange stench in the living room, which was obviously different from the stench in the corridor outside. Chang Ning felt that he had smelled this bad smell somewhere, but he couldn't remember it for a while. He walked into the living room and looked around. This was a split-level house. At the end of the living room was a staircase. It seemed that the bedroom and study were upstairs. He went up the stairs and found the master bedroom. The big bed in the master bedroom was empty. There were 2 corpses on the ground, one male and one female, both adults, probably Richard and his wife. As far as Chang Ning knew, during the doomsday disaster, most people died within a few days. Knowing their fate in advance, they did not die in a hurry. In some bedrooms of private houses he had seen before, corpses were usually neatly laid on the bed. Why were the skeletons of Richard and his wife on the ground? Chang Ning walked closer to observe, and found that their skeletons were not complete, and even a little scattered. Several finger bones were scattered messily on the ground far away from them. If you look closely, there are traces of gnawing on their larger bones such as their thigh bones. Could it be that they were attacked by animals? But although the whole room was not very tidy, it did not have the messy feeling of an animal attack. What happened? There were no more clues in the master bedroom, so Chang Ning turned back and opened the door next to it. This looked like a baby room, with a collapsed crib in the middle of the house. The walls of the whole room could be vaguely seen to be pink, and it should be a little girl's room. The strange thing is that the glass in this room is broken. Chang Ning knows how strong the glass in Yanqing is. Even now, he may not be able to break a piece of glass with a casual blow. He probably needs to use all his strength to be sure. But the glass here is broken. The strong wind from the 168th floor is wandering in this house. There is nothing else in the room except the child's bed. The sun is high outside, and the weather is warm, but Chang Ning feels a chill. Chapter 134 Research on the KZR 3-star. Chang Ning had a vague idea in his mind, but this possibility was too terrible, and he did not dare to think deeply about it. Let's go to other rooms to see if there are any clues. Walking out of the children's room, the opposite is the study. Opening the door of the study, a smell of decaying books hits you. As the chief scientist of the Black Hole Laboratory of Zhangjiang Science Park, Richard is undoubtedly a learned man. There are 2 huge bookshelves in his study, filled with all kinds of books, but unfortunately most of them are decayed. There is a computer desk by the window, and on the computer desk there is a computer that has been damaged for 300 years. This is what Chang Ning wants to see most now. Mobilizing the power of the stars in his mind, Chang Ning skillfully refreshes the computer, then put down his backpack, took out a folding solar panel, and unfolded it in front of the glass window of the study. The battery connected to the solar panel was fully charged when Chang Ning was still in the building below. so now it can be used after it is taken out and unfolded. Plug in the power and press a switch. After a buzzing sound, the computer starts. This is an ordinary personal computer, but it may contain the secret of black hole. Chang Ning took a deep breath, put his hand on the mouse, and started to operate. He found the file browsing system of the computer. This computer is divided into 3 disks: System, Research, and Family. Chang Ning naturally opened the research disk first. Then he was confused. He knew most of the Chinese characters in it, but there was basically nothing he could understand about the words and sentences combined. Folder, Conjecture about gamma ray bursts, last updated on July 24, 2331. The folder at the bottom caught Chang Ning's attention. July 24, 2331. This date is 1 day later than the date of the last article of warehouse manager Xiao. It seems to be Richard's research and conjecture about the doomsday disaster. Gamma ray bursts. This is the cause of the end of the world in 2331. In the diary of warehouse manager Xiao, it is mentioned that the government has released some research conclusions on gamma ray bursts. But it is definitely not detailed enough, because it was determined at the time that this was a global extinction event. For the people who only had a few days left to live, how this disaster was formed is no longer important. But Richard was a scientist. His innate spirit of research made him not give up research until the last moment of his life. Richard's folder should have answers that the outside world doesn't have. Open this folder. There are several documents, spreadsheets, and an application. Chang Ning picked a document with a name he could understand. Research on the KZR3 star. Since the establishment of modern astronomy, scientists have discovered 11 stars within the 10 light-year universe around us. They are the Proxima Centauri 3-body system closest to the Sun, the Sirius binary system, the Lewitton 726 binary system, and the 4 single stars of Barnard's star, Wolf 359, Lalande 21185, and Ross 248. But are these the only 11 neighbors around us? Not necessarily. The James Webb telescope of the 21st century has determined that there is a patch of interstellar dust in the direction of the Eridanus constellation, only 3.26 light-years away from the Sun. The spectrum of this dust has an absorption peak of 216 mm, which can be considered to be composed of carbon particles. It is speculated through its reflective properties that the dust particles range from 2 nanometers to 200 nanometers, which is on the same order of magnitude as the wavelength of visible light. Therefore, this dust is opaque to visible light. What is hidden behind this dust has been studied for the past 200 years. However, due to the impact of the Great Schism, research progress has not been great. Until last year, my old friend, Professor Zhang Minqing of Fudan University, found several very coincidental records in the vast ancient scrolls before the Great Schism. He came to my house to share these discoveries with me. Unfortunately, I was obsessed with things on the back of the moon at that time and had no intention of listening. These records came from the supplement to the later compilation of calendar studies written by Ming Antu in the 21st year of Qian Long in the Qing dynasty, and the 1756 astronomical journal written by Elwin, the court scientist of King Frederick II of Prussia. They all recorded a fact, that is, in mid-November 1756, an abnormal red star suddenly appeared in the direction of Eridanus. The sky in this direction has always been empty, and the star, like a ghost, appeared for 3 days and then disappeared strangely. When Professor Zhang Minqing found the first record, he thought it was a mistake until he found the second and third ones. In 1756, 4 different scientists in different parts of the world observed the star. He thought things were not simple. He began to study the star in detail and assigned it a number, KZR3. The dust is too close to us. I heard that he was still trying to get the government to pay attention to the study of the Eridanus dust and the defense measures of KZR3 at the beginning of this year. But the Great Schism has just ended, and everything is rushing towards economic construction. Who would care about a piece of dust a few light years away? KZR3. Sorry, we didn't see this star. It wasn't until the second sun appeared that I was forced to stop the research on the lunar back X matter. After returning home, I recalled Professor Zhang Minqing's opinion. It turns out that KZR3 is so dazzling but everything is too late. I basically agree with his point of view now. Behind the Eridanus dust, a little more than 3 light years away from the sun, there is a red giant KZR3 that has entered the extinction stage. This star has been blocked by dust since ancient times, and people on Earth cannot see it clearly. Until 1756, this red giant star came to the end of its life and began its first helium flash. This helium flash increased the brightness of KZR3 several times in a short period of time, so that it released some light in the direction of the Earth through the dust, which was fortunately recorded by several scientists on Earth. After the first helium flash, after a brief silence of several hundred years, KZR3 finally accumulated enough power and the supernova explosion began. The large amount of matter and gamma rays ejected by the supernova explosion directly blew away the interstellar dust blocking the sun and KZR3. Unfortunately, the peak position of the gamma ray explosion was right at the sun. So, when all of us saw KZR3, our lives came to an end. The mitochondria of the cell nucleus were completely destroyed by gamma rays, and all of us would not live long. KZR3 had warned humans since 1756, but we did not react until it completely destroyed the Earth. Humans are so arrogant. Chapter 135, A Stone Tablet. Chang Ning couldn't calm down for a long time after reading this document. It turned out that when he lived in the 21st century, this time bomb already existed, so close to the sun. This time bomb had actually warned humans once during the Qianlong period of the Qing dynasty. Humans actually ignored this time bomb and developed on their own for so long, and then they were all destroyed in one day. He remembered what the warehouse manager Xiao wrote in his diary. The survival of life has always been a low probability event, and chaos is the eternal theme of the universe. It's ridiculous that humans still think they are the masters of the universe. There are so many technical terms and formulas in the other documents and the conjectures about gamma ray bursts folder that Chang Ning can hardly understand. There is also an application that Chang Ning opened and looked at. It is an interstellar position simulator that marks the positions of the sun and dozens of surrounding stars to simulate the movement trajectory of stars. Chang Ning found the dust cloud and the position of the KZR3 star in it. It's really close. Much closer than the Proxima Centauri system, which Chang Ning is most familiar with. In such a close-range supernova explosion, there are still humans and other animals on Earth who survived. Chang Ning couldn't help but sigh that life is also a miracle. After closing the conjectures about gamma ray bursts folder, Chang Ning began to carefully look for files about Matter X. Not knowing whether most of the information on Matter X was in the laboratory, Chang Ning searched for a long time on Richard's computer, and most of the information was academic journals and papers. Finally, he found a slide in a corner of a folder called Backup Memorandum of Discovery on the Far Side of the Moon, in which he finally found some clues about Matter X. Memorandum of Discovery on the Far Side of the Moon is mixed with Chinese and English. Fortunately, most of the English is not very complicated. Chang Ning, who has passed the 6th level in college, can still understand most of it. For the rest, he can guess the general meaning by guessing. In 2328, after the impact of the Great Schism basically ended, mankind began to develop science and technology again, and one of the important sectors was aerospace. From 2328 to 2330, countries and organizations such as China, the United States, and the European community have successively carried out hundreds of launches, gradually restoring the level of aerospace technology in the 21st century. In 2330, China transformed a Guanghan Palace lunar exploration base vehicle, based on the 21st century changed spacecraft. This base vehicle was launched in March 2330 and successfully landed on the back of the moon, automatically deploying a lunar back exploration frontier base. This base contains many basic measuring instruments, analytical instruments and exploration instruments, as well as 3 self-driving lunar rovers. The Guanghan Palace base maintains contact with the Earth headquarters through an artificial satellite orbiting the moon and launches lunar exploration. The original plan was to build a lunar base for astronauts to live in around 2335 through 3 to 5 years of exploration and infrastructure construction. due to the scientific fault caused by the Great Split. Although this project was mainly led by China, experts from other countries such as the United States also participated, responsible for different research parts. However, 2 months after the base was built, all plans were disrupted. The lunar rover found a stone tablet at the bottom of a crater near the base. Yes, it is a square tablet made of stone. There is no record in human history that any country has ever sent such a thing to the moon. In other words, this stele is very likely to be made by something other than human civilization. Who made it, and why was it placed on the moon? This mysterious thing immediately attracted the attention of all the top scientists in the world. According to the measurement of the lunar rover, the length, width and height of this stele are 2 meters * 1 meter * 1/3 meter. This is not an approximate value. After measuring and removing the decimal, the exact length of this stele is 2 meters. The lunar rover used different measurement methods, with measurement accuracy ranging from 1 mm to 10 nanometers, but under each measurement method, the height of the stele is exactly 2 meters, the width is exactly 1 meter, and the side length is exactly 1/3 of a meter. There are neat zeros after the decimal point, without any error. This is terrifying. The lunar rover also used a magnifying observation instrument to observe the surface of the stele. The surface of the stele is absolutely smooth. Whether it is seen with the naked eye, or magnified 100 times, 1000 times, or 10,000 times, there is no unevenness on the surface of the stele. At this time, someone remembered a science fiction novel from the 20th century, the name of which is 2001, A Space Odyssey. This novel, which was filmed into a classic movie in the 20th century, recorded a black stone tablet, the size of which was exactly 1:4:9 no matter how it was measured. In the novel, this black stone tablet came from an ancient unknown alien race, who used the stone tablet to study the universe, and promoted the evolution of apes on Earth into intelligent life. Of course, the stone tablet found on the back of the moon is obviously different from the stone tablet in the novel. This is a grey-white stone tablet with a length-to-width ratio of 1:3:6. After discussion, scientists on Earth came to a unanimous conclusion that it is absolutely impossible to produce such a stone tablet with such precise dimensions and such a smooth surface with the current technology on Earth in the 24th century. So is this stone tablet made by aliens, just like what was written in the novel in the 20th century? Many scientists have raised objections. The length of this stone tablet is exactly 2 meters, and the width is exactly 1 meter. The concept of meter is only available on Earth. In 1790, French scientists proposed to use 1/40 millionth of the length of the Earth's meridian passing through Paris as a unit of length, which was the original 1 meter. Later, with the development of science and technology, humans redefined 1 meter precisely as the length of light in a vacuum in a time interval of 1/299792458 seconds. In any case, the concept of meter comes from the length of the Earth's meridian. Scientists could not imagine a group of aliens using the Earth's meridian as a unit of length, so they were eager to see the stone tablet with their own eyes, touch it with their own hands, and study it. The conditions at that time could not send a large number of scientists and the most advanced research equipment to the moon. Therefore, scientists around the world commissioned China to use the lunar rover to dig out the stone tablet and send it back to Earth for research. The lunar rover did dig it out, but after digging it out, the scientists were surprised to get its exact weight. This stone tablet weighs exactly 1 ton, and the decimal point is still all 0, without any error. In other words, the mass of the material that makes up this stone tablet is exactly 1.5 times that of water in the same volume. For such a solid, smooth substance, this density is simply too low. You know, the density of iron is 7.86 times that of water. Just as scientists on Earth were becoming more and more puzzled about the stone tablet, the lunar base was finally ready for the launch mission. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 136, Strange Things on the Backside of the Moon. The Steely was loaded into the return spacecraft originally planned to transport lunar soil and launched back to Earth. The return spacecraft landed smoothly, but when the scientists excitedly opened the return capsule, they were stunned. The return capsule was empty. People confirmed the video footage of the lunar base again, and the Steely was indeed loaded in. But why was it not in the return capsule? The entire flight process of the return capsule was under the full-scale monitoring of the Earth and the lunar satellite. It was impossible for someone to quietly open it halfway and take out the Steely inside. Moreover, the flight trajectory of the return capsule was also calculated based on the weight of a 1-ton Steely inside, and the rocket thrust also included the ratio of this ton of weight. If this ton of mass is suddenly missing, the entire flight trajectory of the return capsule will be offset. Everything seems to be fine. The only problem is that the return capsule was empty after landing. At that time, several forces on Earth had conflicts because of this. Everyone thought that someone was playing tricks, but no evidence was found. As a last resort, Earth sent astronauts from many countries again to form a 6-person team. When the lunar base was not yet complete, they went to the lunar base in advance to conduct a field investigation. Most of the content of the slides is the investigation record of the 6-person team, including some picture records and test forms. In the end, the 6-person team found some substances that had never been discovered in the lunar soil under the original Steely. The density of this substance is 1.5 times that of water, the same as the density of the Steely. This substance is very hard and almost difficult to destroy. It can only be cut with a unique laser. These substances are very rare. Several astronauts dug for a long time, and the total amount dug out is estimated to be only 1 or 200 grams. They are granular. Each particle is about 5 mm long, and each particle is an elliptical 144-sided body with exactly the same shape. Scientists preliminarily concluded that the composition of these particles is the same substance as the original Steely, and named it Substance X. After preliminary exploration of the excavation site of the Steely and collecting some X substances, 2 Chinese astronauts and 2 American astronauts boarded a spacecraft together, carrying the excavated X substances back to Earth, leaving 2 astronauts to continue exploring. Unexpectedly, this farewell was a farewell forever. The 4 astronauts returned to Earth smoothly, and the X substances were not lost this time, and were brought back intact. The X substances brought back were snatched up by scientists from various countries and taken back for research. Part of it was taken away by Richard to do research on black holes in the laboratory of Zhangjiang Science Park. He believes that the disappearance of the X substances Steely means that this substance is related to time or space. Others were taken away by the United States and Germany respectively and stored in other science parks. As of the eve of the doomsday disaster, no corresponding research conclusions have been drawn. The 2 astronauts who stayed on the moon saw even more incredible things. At the same time as the 4 astronauts returned to Earth, the Zhuangzi astronomical telescope, which had just been launched into space in 2329, received a visual signal. It was a metal object the size of an ordinary truck. It had crossed the asteroid belt and was flying towards the Earth at a speed of about 20 kilometers per second. Because it was too small, the space telescope could not capture its exact appearance, but from the flight trajectory, it would hit the back of the moon in about 2 hours. The exact location was near the excavation site of the Steely at the lunar base. This discovery immediately attracted great attention from Earth scientists and senior government officials. They shared the information with the 2 astronauts who stayed at the lunar base, asking them to pay attention to safety and closely observe the impact information at the excavation site of the Steely. 2 hours later, under the close monitoring of the ground personnel and the personal observation of the 2 astronauts at the lunar back base, a flying vehicle with a length of about 4 or 5 meters and a metallic luster hit the excavation site of the Steely. This flying vehicle was obviously man-made at first glance, and it was definitely not a meteorite or any other natural thing. This thing was first observed near the asteroid belt, that is, it flew in from outside the asteroid belt. According to its flight trajectory, scientists can calculate that its launch site is much farther than the asteroid belt. It may be launched from near Neptune, the outermost planet of the solar system, or even from outside the solar system. After the Great Split, human tentacles have just reached the moon, and Mars has not yet landed again. In other words, this spacecraft is basically impossible to be made by humans. If there is still debate among human scientists whether the stone tablet on the back of the moon was made by aliens, then this newly appeared spacecraft has basically been tacitly accepted as an alien spacecraft. Since the 20th century, scientists on Earth have been looking for aliens, but until the 1930s of the 24th century, there was no evidence to prove that there are other intelligent life outside the Earth. Now, it seems that there is evidence. From the discovery of X substance to the unknown spacecraft hitting the moon, there was only a few days in between. Scientists on Earth are like having a carnival, with new things and new discoveries that have never been seen in the past few centuries emerging one after another. Everyone is very excited, but some scientists have expressed concerns about unknown man-made spacecraft visiting the solar system. But no matter what, all scientists and politicians agreed that the 2 astronauts on the moon should approach the spacecraft and make a detailed observation. So the 2 astronauts set off in the lunar rover. Although the events on the back of the moon were not reported in the public media, the general public was not very aware of them. However, politicians and top scientists from various countries were paying attention to the progress of the events. The astronauts' journey was broadcast, live throughout the whole process. Under the gaze of tens of thousands of eyes around the world, the lunar rover slowly left the Guanghan Palace base and drove at a normal speed of 30 km per hour to the crater, where the stone tablet was originally discovered. Everything was normal until the lunar rover went down to the bottom of the crater, less than 100 meters away from the site where the stone tablet was excavated. At this time, the astronauts on the lunar rover could clearly see the new crater created by the UFO. You can even see something like an antenna sticking out of the crater. These images were also synchronized to the Earth. Just when everyone thought that they would be able to witness the true appearance of the UFO in a few minutes, the lunar rover suddenly stopped. The people watching the live broadcast on the Earth were stunned and moved their eyes away from the antenna of the spacecraft and looked at the lunar rover again. The 2 people in the car disappeared. The ground technicians replayed the live video just now. The 2 people disappeared out of thin air, just like there was a pile of strange sand in the direction of the lunar rover. The lunar rover passed through it unimpeded, but the 2 astronauts sank into the sand after passing that place and never came out again. The lunar rover transfers to ground control. The command center issued a new order. No matter what, they must see the aircraft. Chapter 137 The Whereabouts of Substance X. Chang Ning flipped through the slides page by page, completely immersed in the scene at that time. The whole story was even more bizarre than the science fiction and suspense novels he had read before. The 2 astronauts suddenly disappeared under the attention of tens of thousands of eyes around the world. Chang Ning also carefully watched the video clips inserted in the slides. The 2 people disappeared out of thin air, as if they were erased by an eraser. Fortunately, the lunar rover has a remote control system. After some operations, the ground command center connected to the lunar rover, and it can still be controlled normally. Control the lunar rover to continue moving forward. The 18 cameras around the lunar rover and other detection equipment are fully fired. Soon, they arrived in front of the crater caused by the impact of the aircraft. At the same time, the ground command center also connected to the other 2 lunar rovers and controlled them to search near the place where the 2 astronauts disappeared. However, only a small number of people were searching and rescuing, and most scientists and politicians still focused on the aircraft. The first lunar rover slowly drove above the new crater, and 3 high-definition cameras stretched out at the same time and took pictures. This is a aircraft that does not seem to have a very high level of technology. From the appearance, it is most likely not a manned aircraft. It is something similar to a detector. Its main part is a golden metal box with a white radar connected to the front. 3 slender antennas extend from the metal box, with a solar panel on top and several other instruments. It is full of a strong metal punk nostalgic style. "This thing looks so familiar," said a scientist at the ground control center. "Yes, I think so too. This view has been recognized by many people, but what exactly is it?" "I know," said a Chinese scientist. "Isn't this the Voyager launched in the 20th century? Voyager? Exclamation mark. These are two planetary probes launched by the United States in the 20th century, designed to observe the outer planets of the solar system, such as Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune, at close range. After exploring these planets, based on the principle of waste utilization, the Americans let them fly out of the solar system. This is the first aircraft that humans have flown out of the solar system. The Voyagers carry a golden record that records the basic characteristics of human civilization, including the position of the Earth in the universe, greetings in 55 different languages, music with different characteristics in different countries, natural landscapes on Earth, and the science and technology of human civilization. Both Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 flew out of the solar system in the 21st century. But according to their speed, it has not been long since they left the solar system, and it is estimated that they still have tens of thousands of years to go before they can reach the first star system they can reach. How can they fly back to the solar system at this time? Exclamation mark. No, it's not Voyager. At this time, someone raised an objection. They found the photos and detailed dimensions of the original Voyager. After a simple comparison, they found that, although this aircraft is somewhat similar to Voyager, it is not Voyager. It is more like a replica of Voyager. This is even more bizarre. When humans launched Voyager, technology was far less advanced than it is today. In the trajectory of Voyager's movement, there were no stars for tens of thousands of years. In other words, after only less than 400 years, the civilizations that can capture Voyager in outer space must have super technology and can freely conduct interstellar navigation. But how could such a civilization imitate a low-end spacecraft like Voyager? If this spacecraft is not a replica of Voyager, there is only one possibility, that it is an original spacecraft of another civilization in the distant universe tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of years ago. That civilization was in a technological state similar to that of the 20th century on Earth at that time, and happened to launch the spacecraft towards the Earth. After a long journey, it happened to hit the moon at this time. How likely is it that a spacecraft similar to that of hundreds of years ago on Earth was created tens of thousands of years ago, and it happened to fly to Earth? It's incredible. In short, after seeing this spacecraft, scientists on Earth not only did not feel that the mystery had been solved, but felt that there were more and more mysteries. After the two astronauts disappeared, there were no other humans on the moon, and now the only way to explore this spacecraft was by the lunar rover. The exploration process was relatively smooth. The lunar rover took photos of the spacecraft from various angles, and also found a golden record on the spacecraft that was extremely similar to the one on Voyager. The golden record was recovered by the lunar rover's robotic arm, and was ready to be sent back to Earth during the next delivery mission. However, due to the size and shape of the spacecraft, it was impossible to send it back to Earth directly. Scientists were reluctant to dismantle it and send it back in parts. So everyone discussed sending astronauts to the moon again after July 2331. This time, some experts in materials science and spacecraft design were added to the team to directly inspect the spacecraft on the lunar surface. The golden record was later sent back to Earth in November 2330 and was collected by the Huaxia Academy of Sciences in Yanjing for research. The date of the second moon landing was after the world-destroying disaster, so it was obvious that it was not successful. The slid Xiao finally played to the last page, and Chang Ning breathed a sigh of relief. It felt like reading a science fiction novel. Memorandum on the discovery of the far side of the moon was a memorandum issued by Richard's unit to top scientists like Richard, who should have been eyewitnesses of the incident on the far side of the moon at that time. Whether the two astronauts found it later, or what was in the golden record was not included here. It was probably placed in other research files. Chang Ning searched the computer carefully, but could not find any follow-up clues to this incident. It was getting dark, and Chang Ning thought to himself, what am I here for? That's right. Looking for clues about Substance X. In the research disk of Richard's computer, only this memo mentioned Substance X. In addition to Richard's laboratory, Yanjing in China, Munich in Germany, and Washington in the United States each got a portion of Substance X. If the Substance X in Richard's laboratory was really consumed as a consumable, then he could only try his luck in these places. After confirming that there was nothing else worth noting in the research disk, Chang Ning opened the family disk in Richard's computer to see if it was possible to find some unexpected clues. Most of the family disk contained photos and videos of Richard, his wife, and his daughter. Among them, folders such as Lingling 0 years old, Lingling 1 years old, Lingling 4 years old were carefully sorted out, and her growth trajectory was carefully recorded according to her age. From these records, Richard's daughter was only a little over 4 years old when the world-destroying disaster occurred. She had a good chance of surviving the apocalypse. Chang Ning had just seen that the children's room was empty and there was no child's body. So where did Richard's daughter go? Chapter 138 Liling. Did Richard's daughter survive the apocalypse? What happened to her later? Chang Ning sighed as he looked at the little girl with a sunny smile in the photo. She looked like a little princess who was spoiled by her parents and raised in the palm of her hand. Unfortunately, she was just a little over 4 years old and her life had not officially begun before she caught up with the apocalypse. When he stood up from the computer desk, it was already dark. There were already many stars in the sky, but there was still a trace of the last sunset in the west. At this height of 168 floors, it was dark later. Chang Ning installed the solar panels, packed his backpack, took out the flashlight, and prepared to go downstairs. When he walked out of the study and came to the corridor, he remembered that there was another room he had not checked, which was the bathroom at the end of the corridor. He walked gently to the door and pushed open the bathroom door. A foul smell floated out. The bathroom floor was covered with brown-black mucus, and the whole room was like an egg chamber for an evil ghost to hatch. Chang Ning figured it out. As soon as he entered Richard's house, he felt a familiar stench in it. Now I finally remembered that this was the smell of a mindless ghost. It smelled similar to the lair of the mindless ghost he killed last time in the tunnel of Yashan Town, Yangcheng. Is there a mindless ghost living in Richard's house? He remembered the broken glass in the children's room again. That was probably the door for the mindless ghost to enter and exit. Mindless ghost, the upper level of Yangcheng. Richard. These clues were intertwined, and the guess that had frightened Chang Ning before became clearer and clearer, and almost emerged in his mind uncontrollably. Bang! There was a loud noise. Chang Ning looked back, and the strong wind blowing out of the door of the children's room stopped abruptly. A dark shadow stood in that room. Liling. The shrill cry echoed in the room, and Chang Ning's ears were buzzing. It's Liling. This is Liling's lair. Chang Ning moved with fear and rushed down the stairs of this split-level house at an accelerated speed. But Liling's action was faster. When Chang Ning just stood still at the bottom floor, Liling had already jumped down from the sky and blocked him. Looking closely at this over 3-meter tall lost heart ghost, Chang Ning could feel a huge sense of oppression. Its skin was pale and full of wrinkles, and it had short dark brown mane, but its head was completely bald without any hair. It had no nose, and there were only 2 nostrils, where the nose tip should have been. The other facial features were also flat, and its eyes were extremely large, with only pupils in the eye sockets, and no whites. Liling. It opened its mouth and roared again, revealing 2 rows of white teeth, each of which was sharp and serrated. A foul smell rushed out of Liling's mouth, and Chang Ning fanned the air in disdain to blow away the smell. Liling seemed very angry, and no human had ever appeared in its lair, and the human in front of him did not seem to be very afraid of it. Of course, Chang Ning was very alert. After all, the Liling in front of him was a super lost heart ghost who had killed 4 Grandmaster level awakeners in Yangcheng. But since he obtained the power core of the lost heart ghost leader and evolved the Shaman awakening ability, his combat effectiveness has been greatly improved. Liling in front of him had several huge wounds on his legs and arms, which were obviously the old wounds left when fighting with the leader of the Lost Heart Ghost. Chang Ning decided to play the emotional card and not fight with it, because they had fought side by side. Seeing Liling's angry expression, Chang Ning smiled gently. Liling, is it you? Liling's angry and ferocious expression suddenly eased. Chang Ning knew that he guessed right. You have suffered for so many years. Chang Ning continued to speak gently to Liling. He could roughly guess Liling's life experience. When the world-destroying disaster occurred in 2331, Richard returned home and spent the last few days with his wife and 4-year-old daughter Liling. In addition to sorting out the causes and related data of the world-destroying disaster in the study, Richard should have been with his wife and daughter during those days. Until the end of his life, he and his wife lay peacefully in bed to welcome death. In his concept, or from a scientific perspective, this level of gamma ray burst would definitely leave no one alive on Earth. No one would survive, and his daughter was about to die, although she might die a little later than him. But what he didn't expect was that his daughter didn't die. Chang Ning didn't know what a 4-year-old girl felt when she was locked in her own house in a dead building, guarding the bodies of her parents. She had nothing to eat, nothing to drink, no one talked to her, and no one responded to her. Chang Ning guessed that she should have been crying for the first few days. And then, Chang Ning didn't want to think about what happened next. He tried to delete the image of Richard and his wife's teeth-marked corpses in his mind. He only knew that Li Ling later became Li Ling and had been wandering around here. Sometimes it kills, sometimes it guards, and it has become the most powerful ghost near Yancheng. Chang Ning recalled the night when he had just arrived in this era and returned to the laboratory for the second time. He saw Li Ling's figure in the surveillance video. Li Ling smiled at the surveillance camera. Maybe it wasn't a ghost waiting for an opportunity to eat people. At that time, Li Ling was just a little girl who wanted to see her father again. Your father and mother are gone. Chang Ning continued. However, they should hope that you live well and just want you to be healthy and happy. Chang Ning noticed that Li Ling's pupils slowly shrank and the ferocious look on his face gradually dissipated. He knew that the Lost Heart ghosts could also understand human language. The Lost Heart Ghost Core had been able to demonstrate high IQ strategies before. How could Li Ling, such a high-level Lost Heart ghost, not even understand human language? Look, I came from your father's research institute. You should have felt my breath in the research institute that day, right? Chang Ning continued to deceive Li Ling. Besides, I also learned your home address from your father, so I can come here today. Chang Ning said the truth, not nervous at all. So, we are our own people, and we should love each other, and should not fight. Li Ling tilted his head, and looked at Chang Ning for a while, and Chang Ning could not tell whether his expression believed it or not. However, Li Ling's clenched fist was slowly loosening. Chang Ning breathed a sigh of relief, and his words should have worked. I had thought that this Li Ling was very powerful before, and that it should be a mad ghost that had lived for a long time. But I didn't expect that it was actually a survivor of the doomsday disaster and had lived from 300 years ago to the present. Compared to it, the previous extraordinary person Yunran was simply weak. Chang Ning instinctively felt that Li Ling should have more secrets. Just when he relaxed and wanted to continue to chat with Li Ling for a while, Li Ling suddenly clenched his fists again and roared. Chapter 139 Pujiang Bridge is open to traffic. Chang Ning was startled, thinking that Li Ling was going to attack him. But Li Ling turned around and jumped into the children's room on the second floor and yelled again at the broken glass outside. Li Ling. The shrill roar spread far away. A low laugh came from the direction above, which was eerie and terrifying, echoing Li Ling's roar. What kind of sound is this? Chang Ning felt goosebumps all over his body, and this laughter made people very uncomfortable. It sounded like it was far away, but it seemed to be right in front of him. The sound seemed to be very low, but every vibration clearly penetrated the eardrum. The sound was full of malice and ridicule, and it brought great confusion to people's hearing. Ordinary people would probably have a mental breakdown when they heard this laughter. As a Stargate Awakener, Chang Ning has a strong mental power, and as a Shineman Awakener, he can control his ear muscles very well. This is why he is immune to this laughter. But this sound sounds like it comes from above. The 168th floor where Chang Ning and Li Ling were located was already a very high position. The total height of the building in Yancheng was 188 floors. Chang Ning had observed from a distance that the top few floors were severely damaged, and it was estimated that the total height was about 180 floors now. In other words, there was another terrifying existence living there a dozen or 20 floors above here. Seeing Li Ling's nervous look, this terrifying existence should be at least not weaker than Li Ling. This laughter sounded like a human voice, and ordinary animals would probably find it difficult to make such a sound. So, there was another heartless ghost above. But Chang Ning had lived in Yancheng for so long, and had never seen a second heartless ghost so powerful besides Li Ling, and had never even heard of it. After the voice echoed with Li Ling for a few times, it gradually became smaller. Li Ling also gradually relaxed, left the broken glass window, and returned to Chang Ning. Then he made an expression to Chang Ning. This expression, combined with Li Ling's face, looked very scary in the dark. But Chang Ning seemed to feel the kindness in it, like a shy little girl seeing her father's colleague and smiling shyly. Chang Ning also smiled at Li Ling. I'll come see you another day. It's getting late now. I have to go back first. Li Ling nodded to him. Chang Ning waved his hand, turned around and left. By the way, after taking 2 steps, Chang Ning turned back and said, "Thank you last time. If it weren't for your help, the chances of our people surviving below would not be high." Li Ling waved his hand, as if to say you're welcome. Chang Ning smiled at it again, then turned back to the corridor, and went down the stairs along the path he had taken before. Going downstairs was much easier than going upstairs. Chang Ning put his hand on the window of the building and let go. When he reached the edge of the window on the next floor, he put his other hand on it to slow down. With the 2 hands alternating, he could go down 1 floor in almost 1 second. 138th floor. In less than a minute, Chang Ning came to this platform again. When he came up just now, Chang Ning saw a huge bird's nest here, with a bird's egg that was almost about to hatch successfully. He came to the bird's nest again, carefully held the bird's egg in his arms, and continued to go downstairs. In less than half an hour, Chang Ning stood on the rooftop of the 21st floor of Yancheng again. Why is it so late? Yan Xiansu stood at the entrance of the rooftop, looking at Chang Ning eagerly. Have you been waiting for me? Chang Ning felt warm in her heart. No. I just finished dealing with things, and came up to get some fresh air. Chang Ning touched her head. I don't believe you. The two walked side by side to the entrance of the rooftop. Chang Ning told Yan Xiansu some analysis of the world-destroying disaster that he found on the rooftop. He also talked about his guess about Li Ling's life experience. I didn't expect Li Ling to be the earliest resident of this building. Yan Xiansu was also amazed when he heard about Li Ling's life experience. So next time you see it, you don't have to be so scared. In fact, it's pretty nice to the people in this building. Yes, it really treats this place as its home. Otherwise why would it stand up with me to fight against the army of crazy ghosts last time? Yes, it was all thanks to it last time. What about you? Do you treat this place as your home? Ah. If you do, prove it to me. How do you prove it? Fool. The curtains were drawn, and the light reflected the silhouettes of the two people, gradually approaching, and then tightly fitting together. The next morning, Chang Ning, refreshed, walked out of Yan Xiansu's room on the 21st floor and stretched. The tap water facilities are really good. With tap water, the big bathtub in Yan Xiansu's room is also pretty good. The bird eggs brought down yesterday were left by Yan Xiansu, who said she wanted to try to hatch the bird. Chang Ning followed her. After breakfast, he said hello to several people in the Yancheng representative conference, packed his backpack, and went out again. This time he was going back to the place where he first settled when he came to this era, Richard's laboratory. Coming down from the large balcony on the 17th floor, Chang Ning found a motorcycle he had gotten a few days ago. This motorcycle has a large displacement and can burn diesel, which is suitable for the complex terrain in the doomsday. Riding his beloved motorcycle and carrying an outdoor assault backpack, Chang Ning headed east along the Unravels expressway. The road conditions after the doomsday were excellent, and there were no other vehicles on the road competing with Chang Ning. 5 minutes later, he came to the Pujiang River. Looking around, there was no ferry on the riverside. Chang Ning parked the motorcycle not far from the riverside, and then walked to the riverside. It turned out that the ferry was at the other end. Now the population around Yancheng has skyrocketed. As the food base of Yancheng, Yaosin has countless people and materials exchanges with Yancheng every day. So much so that the Unravels Expressway ferry on Pujiang River now transports back and forth almost non-stop during the day. It looks like the ferry will take another half an hour to get back to the West Bank, and there are already some people waiting for the ferry on the shore. Chang Ning stared at the piers of the ruins of the Pujiang Bridge before the end of the world on the shore, and suddenly an idea popped up in his mind. When he was just an awakener of the Stargate before, he estimated that the star power was not enough to refresh the entire bridge. But the difference is not too much, and it should be able to refresh more than half of it. Now he has awakened the ability of the Heavenly Gate. I wonder if the Heavenly Gate and the Stargate are connected. Can the power of the Heavenly Gate be transformed into star power for him to use the ability of the Stargate? The only Shineman and Stargate dual awakener he had seen before, Xiao Bao, his Stargate ability is a skill that does not require much star power and only needs to wait for the refresh time, so he has no experience in this area. Or, try it yourself. Thinking of this, he walked to the side of the ruins of the Pujiang Bridge. Then he mobilized the star power with all his strength, and suddenly a large piece of starlight shot out of his eyes, which looked brighter than every time he used his ability before. The starlight stretched out into a ribbon, extending outward for several kilometers, slowly wrapping the entire Pujiang Bridge. There's hope. Chang Ning was delighted, and then shouted, "Get up." The Pujiang River boiled like a pot of boiling water, and the cement and construction debris and the mud at the bottom of the river rose into the air and refreshed on the surface of the river. Then, a brand new Pujiang Bridge appeared in the air. The people waiting for the boat on the shore looked at Chang Ning as if they had seen a miracle, and their eyes were full of admiration. Chang Ning pouted, walked crookedly back to the motorcycle, restarted the vehicle, and went up the bridge along the road. "This time it's a big deal," Chang Ning murmured. Chapter 140 The Story of a Bad Girl and a Lovelorn Man. Chang Ning rode on a motorcycle, passed through the crowd of onlookers, and was the first to drive onto the Pujiang Bridge. His legs were shaking now. It was like moving bricks for a day, or doing it 7 times in one night. In short, his whole body was very weak. The previous one not only drained all his star power, but also consumed most of his physical strength. The donkeys in the production team have never been so tired. Fortunately, there is a motorcycle, otherwise it might be a problem to walk. After the Unravels expressway was connected to the Pujiang Bridge, travel became more convenient. Chang Ning stepped on the accelerator and soon arrived at Yaosan. Now the population of Yaosan has increased more than 10 times than before. The original wooden wall could no longer accommodate so many people, and many temporary buildings were built in the open space outside the town. These buildings are made of wood and iron. From a distance, they look like cyberpunk slums. Of course, the residents living inside are not people from the slums. Each of them is full of energy and works hard to farm. Many people have already learned basic literacy. In their spare time, they like to find some books from the old world and have a strong desire to learn. Chang Ning feels that people after the apocalypse seem to be generally smarter than before the apocalypse. In the 21st century, if you want to learn basic reading and writing, you need to study for at least half a year or even 1 or 2 years. After more than a month of night school, quite a few people here have already successfully completed literacy. He rode his bike directly into the gate of Yaosan and stopped downstairs of his villa. Chang Ning walked in leisurely and sat down on the sofa. Take a break before going to the laboratory, otherwise he can't stand it. Turning on the fan in the living room, Chang Ning sat for a while, then stood up and found a few wild fruits from the refrigerator, rinsed them under the tap, and sat back on the sofa to eat. This villa has water and electricity, and there are also some commonly used appliances that Chang Ning refreshed. It can be said that it is very good in terms of living comfort. Before he finished eating a few fruits, he saw Zhen Yang walking in from outside. The old man was cheerful and greeted Chang Ning as soon as he saw him. "Are you here? What did you do? You look so tired." "Hey, don't mention it. I built a bridge on the Unravels expressway. The bridge was so powerful that it almost sucked me dry." Chang Ning wiped his mouth and replied, "That's great. If you don't have to take the ferry, you can save a lot of trouble." Zhen Yang nodded. "That's right. If you ride a bicycle to Yuncheng now, it will probably take more than an hour." Chang Ning once refreshed a few bicycles and put them in Yaosan as a means of transportation. "That's really fast. When I was young, I wanted to go to Yuncheng, and I had to walk from dawn to dusk. It will get faster and faster in the future." Chang Ning was full of confidence. Chang Ning. Zun Lu seemed to have something to say, but seemed to be hesitant. "What's wrong, Grandpa Zun? If you have something to say, just say it. It's like this. Grandpa knows that you are a capable child, so I want to ask you a favor. What is it? Xiaolu's father, 15 years ago, became a relic hunter with others and ran to the north. I heard that you have integrated many cities this time, including Jinling City and the like, which is very far to the north. I just want to ask, among the people who came to Yancheng this time, is Xiaolu's father? Oh, by the way, his full name is Chen. Chen. Chang Ning carefully recalled the awakened people he had met in the northern towns in the past few days, and then shook his head. He didn't know that Zunlu had a father, and thought he was an orphan. But since his father was a relic hunter, he must have the ability to awaken. He can't remember it now. I will go back to Yanshansu to check the files. If Zunchen comes to Yancheng, he will definitely be able to find it. Oh. Zun Yang replied disappointedly. But don't worry, there are so many people here this time, I may not be able to recognize them all. When I return to Yancheng, I will ask someone to check. If he comes, I will definitely be able to find him. Hope appeared in Zun Yang's eyes again. Really? Then thank you for your help. Alas, I don't know how many years I can live with my old bones. I will be satisfied if I can see Xiaolu's father again before I die. Don't say that, you are still strong. Chang Ning smiled at Zun Yang. By the way, why did Zunlu's father leave back then? Zunlu was just a little kid when he left, right? How could he bear to do that? It's all because of Xiaolu's mother. Zun Yang's old face showed an angry expression. Zunlu's mother? Well, that woman is not from our Yao town. I don't know where she came from. Her identity is very mysterious. Later, she gave birth to Xiaolu with Xiaolu's father in Yao town, but she didn't want to start a family. Then one day she ran away by herself, and I don't know where she went. Later, Xiaolu's father kept talking about her. When Xiaolu grew up a little, he entrusted him to me and went to find her. Well, it seems like a story of a bad woman and a lovelorn man. Okay, I'll pay attention. Chang Ning patted Zun Yang on the chest. Zun Yang smiled and said, then I'll trouble you, Chang Ning. Why are you being polite to me? After Zun Yang left, Chang Ning sighed about Zunlu's life experience, continued to lie on the sofa, and pretended to be a salted fish for a while, and then looked at the watch. It was already 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Although he was basically not afraid of outdoor activities at night with his strength, it was more convenient during the day. Sighing, he stood up. After resting for a few hours, although his star power had not recovered much, his physical strength had recovered almost all. He got back on his motorcycle and drove east out of Yaosan. There were no paved roads like the Yunayao Expressway in the east, and it was almost all dense forests. There were some narrow paths in the forest that were trampled by the Yaosan hunting team before, but they were narrow and rugged. Fortunately, this was a piece of cake for off-road motorcycles. Although the speed was not as fast as before, after driving for more than half an hour, Chang Ning still saw the mound of the laboratory from a distance. When he came to the laboratory again, Chang Ning felt like he was in another world. This was the place where he first came to this era. He still remembered how cautious he was when he first came. The motorcycle stopped on the side. Chang Ning took out the key and strode to the door of the laboratory. This was a huge and heavy iron door for civil defense. Before Chang Ning left, he locked it with the lock he brought from the 21st century. But, where is the lock? There were only 2 huge handles on the bare door, and a winch to help open the door. The U-shaped lock that Chang Ning put on before he left was gone. He instantly became alert, took out the Skywalker No. 1 laser sword and the police revolver he brought from the 4th floor warehouse in Cloud City, and slowly opened the big iron door. The iron door slowly opened, and Chang Ning's eyes narrowed. It's a bit messy in here. Chapter 141 Catching a Thief. There are 3 main rooms in the laboratory. One is the hall outside, which is very spacious. There are lines for parking spaces on the ground. It should be the outer yard of the laboratory at that time. There are 2 rooms inside. One is a laboratory full of X-substance experimental equipment, and the other is a life seed bank with huge boxes and cabinets. Before Chang Ning left last time, he had sorted out the things he brought from the 21st century and arranged them neatly in the room of the laboratory. But now he came to the laboratory again, but found that there were many boxes in the hall outside, which were the boxes he used to transport things. After observing the surroundings and making sure that there was no one else inside, Chang Ning walked to the cartons on the ground. There were about a dozen cartons in the hall, all of which were empty. Chang Ning remembered that there should be food, tools, and medicines that he had not taken out before. He walked to the door of the inner laboratory, opened it and looked inside, and it was even more chaotic. There were many food packaging bags thrown on the ground, and some damaged tools and medicine boxes were scattered everywhere. Judging from the degree of mess, someone had lived here for a while. Chang Ning went in and checked carefully. There was basically nothing left of the supplies he didn't take away. Only a few scattered tools and medicines were still on the ground. The whole box of food disappeared. The house was robbed. This was Chang Ning's first reaction. Then he was glad that he had awakened his ability. Otherwise, all the things he brought from the 21st century were stolen, and as an ordinary person, he could hardly move in this era. Who is it? A relic hunter? While thinking about various possibilities, Chang Ning carefully checked the computers and laboratory equipment in the laboratory. Fortunately, it seemed that there were no missing parts. If the equipment is complete, even if it is damaged, Chang Ning can refresh them back. After checking the laboratory, Chang Ning came to the life seed bank again. Most of the cabinets storing seeds here have also been opened. Rice, wheat, corn, sweet potato and other grain seeds have been almost stolen. Chang Ning's head buzzed. His main purpose of returning to the laboratory this time was to bring back the seeds in the life seed bank, expand the grain planting area of Yaosan, and increase the variety of grain in Yaosan. But now, the thief wouldn't eat these precious seeds as ordinary food, right? Chang Ning had a bad feeling in his heart. He checked all the cabinets and only collected a small amount of grain seeds and some vegetable and fruit seeds. The good news is that, although the number of these seeds is relatively small, they can still survive after generations of cultivation. These grains will not become extinct. Moreover, the seeds of vegetables and fruits have basically not been touched. It seems that Yancheng's non-staple food industry is about to start. Chang Ning breathed a sigh of relief. It's better than nothing. However, this thief must not be let go. He first sorted and packed all the usable seeds in the seed bank and moved them to the motorcycle. Then he came to the laboratory and turned on the laboratory computer. There is a surveillance camera here. Chang Ning remembered that he turned on the surveillance video when he left. I don't know if the thief's figure was recorded. The computer can still be used normally. After turning on the computer, Chang Ning searched for information in it first. Previously at Richard's house, Chang Ning got a clue that in addition to this laboratory, Yanjing, Germany and the United States also have some X substances stored. But these places are so big that it is difficult to find them. So Chang Ning wanted to come and see if there are any specific clues, such as scientific research institutions that cooperate with Richard's laboratory. If a few specific addresses can be found, if you really go there to look for X substances later, you can also have a clue. After searching for a while, there are many addresses, but it is not certain whether they are the laboratories where X substances are stored. However, Chang Ning still wrote them down for future use. Then, Chang Ning turned on the surveillance video. Little thief, don't let me see you. Chang Ning thought bitterly. Sure enough, the surveillance video has been turned on, and the video files until today are quietly stored in the hard disk of this computer. Today is August 11th, and Chang Ning decided to start looking from the video files a month ago. Open the video file of July 10th. The images of the 2 outdoor cameras and the 2 indoor cameras appeared on the computer monitor at the same time. Chang Ning could see that on this day, the things in the laboratory remained the same, no different from before he left last time. It seemed that the thief had not been here for long. 5 days later, he opened the video of July 15th, but still nothing. 5 days later, he opened the video of July 20th, and this time the materials in the video were obviously moved. Then he flipped forward, July 19th, July 18th. Got it. July 17th. This was the first time the thief came. Chang Ning opened the video of this day and started browsing from the early morning. Everything was normal in the first part, and Chang Ning fast forwarded directly. It was not until after 3 o'clock in the morning that a shadow emerged from the woods. Why does it look so familiar? Chang Ning looked over carefully. The shadow was getting closer and closer, more than 3 meters tall, with a strange walking posture. Isn't this Li Ling? It seems that after he left, Li Ling came to the laboratory again. Could it be the thief was it? Chang Ning continued to watch the video and adjusted the speed to normal playback. Li Ling stood at the door for a while, just like he did the second time he came to the laboratory that day. After about an hour, he turned around and left. But when Li Ling left, another shadow came out of the woods. This shadow was the height of a normal person, about 1.7 to 1.8 meters, with broad shoulders and a narrow waist. Judging from his body shape, he should be a man. He walked out of the woods with a swagger, and his walking posture did not look like a mad ghost. Soon, the man walked near the door of the laboratory. Chang Ning could see his face clearly. He was indeed a male human with a beard, and it was hard to tell how old he was. He was wearing a field combat camouflage uniform, and it seemed that he was wearing a black and gold coat inside, but it was not very clear. He had a piece of grass in his mouth. After walking to the door of the laboratory, he also looked up at the camera, with curiosity in his eyes. Then he looked in the direction where Li Ling left, then spit the grass in his mouth onto the ground, twitching the corners of his mouth, and smiled contemptuously. He walked a few steps to the gate of the civil air defense, looked at the door carefully, and seemed to be looking for a way to open it. Then, he reached out and pulled the U-shaped lock off the gate and threw it away. The U-shaped lock flew into the bushes and no one knew where it landed. The man turned the winch on the civil air defense door, and the door slowly opened. He nodded with satisfaction. Chapter 140 to the thief's identity. Seeing his skilled appearance, he must have opened locks and entered doors many times before. This is probably a habitual offender. Only ruins hunters can have such lock opening skills. But he seemed to be wearing black and gold clothes inside and seemed to have a relationship with Chen. Chang Ning guessed the identity of the thief in his heart and continued to stare at the monitor to see his next move. He swaggered into the laboratory, took a few steps in the dark, and came to the inner room of the laboratory. After seeing the box on the ground, he first cautiously poked the box from a distance with a branch, and after confirming that the things in the box were compressed biscuits, he came over and picked up a piece and ate it. The lights in the laboratory have not been turned on. It seems that this person has not seen electric lights, so he should not be someone who has lived in Yancheng recently. Chang Ning started to promote the use of electric lights in Yancheng 2 months ago, and everyone should at least know how to turn on and off the lights. But this thief has good eyesight in the dark, and it seems that it is not difficult for him to see things. Chang Ning watched him open the boxes he had sorted out in a mess, pouring out the things in the boxes and putting them together, and he gnashed his teeth in hatred. The man found a tent of Chang Ning, dismantled it and spread it on the ground, then shoved all the food and other small boxes that looked intact into it. Then he nodded with satisfaction and went to the room of the seed bank of life and took away a handful of grain seeds in a sleeping bag. Finally, he lay down in the laboratory with his legs crossed, tore open the food packaging bag, and ate comfortably. This man is too much. Chang Ning slapped the table. The USB flash drive he brought before was still there, and it was not taken away by the thief. So he took out the USB flash drive and copied this video into it. The thief seemed to be wearing Yancheng's black and gold clothes. Did he steal it, or was he originally from Yancheng? Chang Ning thought he could go back and ask Yan Xianzu and Yan Qian. However, since this thief dared to follow Li Ling and seemed to be indifferent to Li Ling, he should be at least a very high level awakener. Grandmaster level? In addition to Yan Qian, Yancheng has never heard of other Grandmaster level awakeners. Seeing that it was already dark outside, Chang Ning turned around and left the seed bank, riding his motorcycle to Yancheng. He hurried out of the laboratory to the jungle of Yaosan before dark and handed the few seeds brought out of the laboratory to Zhen Yang and Sister Zhu in Yaosan, and then followed the Yunjiao expressway and returned to Yancheng 20 minutes later. He had some food in the cafeteria and went back to his room to take a shower. Chang Ning brought his laptop and came to Yan Xianzu's room with him. Busy? When he entered the room, he saw Yan Xianzu lying on the table writing something. She was one of the first people who learned to read and write after Zun Lu. The powerful brain power of the Stargate Awakener allowed her to learn everything quickly. Well, sit down for a while, I'll be there soon. Yan Xianzu looked up and smiled sweetly at Chang Ning. Chang Ning did not sit down, but strolled behind Yan Xianzu and looked down at what she was writing. Cloud City's shift schedule for late August. Chang Ning sighed at this ancient way of scheduling. In the 21st century, it was basically paperless office. It seemed that a few computers would be added to Cloud City in the future. Are you responsible for scheduling the awakened ones? Chang Ning asked casually when he saw this. Yes, Yang Bao and Lin Yuqian don't care much about things, and Zhute, Yi Yang, and Feng Kang can't read. Yan Xianzu answered while writing. The Yi Yang and Feng Kang she was talking about were the representatives of Jinling City and Qiantang City in the new Cloud City representative meeting. Chang Ning nodded, stretched out his hands, pinched Yan Xianzu's shoulders and pressed. Those who are capable should work harder, so you have to work hard. Yan Xianzu twisted his shoulders. Don't make trouble. By the way, among the new awakened ones from the northern towns, is there a person named Chen? Chen? Yan Xianzu put down the pen in his hand, frowned and thought for a while, then shook his head. No. Are you sure there is no one? There are more than 200 awakened people in Cloud City now, and Chang Ning is afraid that Yan Xianzu can't remember them all at once. Really, there is no one with the surname Zun? Yan Xianzu said unhappily. Chang Ning nodded. It seemed that there was really no one. Zun Yang's information was very limited. He only knew that Zun Lu's father Zun Chen went north after becoming a relic hunter, but he didn't know which city he went to. He only thought that Jinling City was already very far north. With the scope of his life, he could never imagine how big the entire China was before the doomsday disaster. It seems that Zun Chen went to a place further north, or died outside. You can ask Yi Yang about it when you have time tomorrow. Chang Ning made a decision in his heart, then walked to a chair next to Yan Xianzu and looked at Yan Xianzu's profile. Under the soft light, Yan Xianzu's fair face, delicate little nose, and the curve of her lips were clearly presented in front of him. For a moment, he couldn't bear to move his eyes away. Sister. At this time, the door was suddenly pushed open rudely. Young Qianqian's short and sturdy figure appeared at the door, holding a can of canned yellow peaches in her arms. What's wrong? Yan Xianzu asked directly without looking up. Hey, brother Ning, you are here too. Young Qianqian greeted Chang Ning. Yeah. Chang Ning's old face blushed, but it was not obvious under the light. Sister, let's go to Yancheng to stay tomorrow. I want to watch TV. Young Qianqian ran behind Yan Xianzu's desk and shook her arm. Oops, you made me write it wrong. Yan Xianzu frowned. Okay. Young Qianqian didn't care that Yan Xianzu was writing at all and continued to shake. Chang Ning couldn't stand it anymore. He wanted Yan Xianzu to finish his work quickly, so he said from the side, your sister is busy. Come here first, I'll show you something. What? Young Qianqian was indeed attracted and walked to Chang Ning with a can. Chang Ning took out his laptop and pressed the power button. Don't you want to watch TV? I'll show you a TV show and see if you recognize the people in it. He wanted young Qianqian to recognize the thief in the laboratory first, just in case she could recognize him. Young Qianqian tilted her head and looked at Chang Ning's notebook. Can this thing also watch TV? Isn't it used to play games? I see brother Xiao playing games with it every day. Don't lie to me. That's Zun Lu. He has no vision. He only knows how to play games all day long. This computer has many uses. It can watch TV and can also be used for work. The computer started a little slowly, so Chang Ning had to continue talking nonsense with young Qianqian. A minute later, it finally entered the desktop. Chang Ning took out the USB flash drive from his pocket and plugged it in. While opening the video, Chang Ning said to young Qianqian, look, do you know the people here? The screen opened at 0 o'clock, and Chang Ning dragged it back skillfully, and Li Ling's face appeared on the screen. This is Li Ling. Young Qianqian took a bite of the can and said vaguely, not this. There is another person after Li Ling leaves. You look carefully. He is coming out. Chang Ning reminded. Li Ling flashed away on the screen, and the figure of the thief in the woods came out. Wow. Young Qianqian burst into tears as soon as she saw the thief. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 143 Yun Yi! Exclamation mark. Yun Qian cried so hard that Yun Xianzu was scared for the whole day. He quickly put down his pen, came over and touched Yun Qian's head and said, "What's wrong with you?" Yun Qian couldn't stop crying and couldn't speak, so she had to point her finger at Chang Ning's screen. Yun Xianzu turned her head and looked at it, and her eyes widened, with tears in her eyes. Chang Ning was a little confused by the reaction of the two sisters. He poked Yun Xianzu's arm. "What's wrong with you? Who is this person inside?" "It's Dad." Yun Xianzu finally cried and burst into tears. Yun Xianzu and Yun Qian's father? Yun Yi, the old city lord of Yuncheng? Didn't he disappear? Chang Ning recalled everything when he first came to Yuncheng. Because of the disappearance of the old city lord Yun Yi, Yun Xianzu hurriedly inherited the position of city lord, and then he and Chang Ning wrestled with Yun Yi's two old brothers, and finally took control of the power of Yuncheng. He remembered that Yun Xianzu, Yun Wu and Yun Qi had suspected each other because of Yun Yi's disappearance. They all thought that the other party was behind it. Now it seems Yun Yi is fine outside and seems to be living quite comfortably. Yun Yi left on his own without being coerced by anyone, and he did not encounter any danger. But this is also very strange. A city lord of Yuncheng suddenly disappeared. He did not hand over power before disappearing. He chose the date of disappearance and the black moon. After disappearing, he ran to his own laboratory to steal things. Is this considered tired of being a king and suddenly wandering around? This? Yun Xianzu pointed to the video. Why is Dad in it? It's like this. This is called a video. It's in the monitoring room of Yuncheng. You should have seen it. Chang Ning explained to Yun Xianzu. Yun Xianzu nodded and motioned for him to continue. This video was recorded in a place near Yaosun, and the date is more than 20 days ago. That is to say, your father went to this place more than 20 days ago, and was filmed. What about now? Where is he? How would I know this? Chang Ning secretly complained in his heart. He also watched the later videos. Yun Yi stayed in the laboratory leisurely for 2 days, and then packed up all the things, and carried them away. Chang Ning didn't know where he went after he left. He had to shake his head at Yun Xianzu. I only know that he went to this place more than 20 days ago, and I don't know where he went later. 10 minutes later, in the night wind, Chang Ning dragged his tired body and rode a motorcycle on the Unravels expressway. Yun Xianzu was sitting on the back seat of the motorcycle, and Yun Qian was sandwiched between Yun Xianzu and Chang Ning. What is going on? Chang Ning thought to himself, a thief broke into my laboratory, and it turned out to be Yun Xianzu's long-lost father. But there was no way. Since Yun Xianzu and Yun Qian saw the clues of their father, they must go to the field as soon as possible to see if they can find other traces. Although Chang Ning was very tired today, he still drove the two of them to the laboratory again. Wow. This bridge is so big. When they were about to reach Pujiang River, Yun Qian looked at the Pujiang bridge from afar, opened her mouth wide, and temporarily forgot where her father was going. Big. I just made this today. Brothers Ironing, you are amazing. Chang Ning stepped on the accelerator and the motorcycle sped onto the bridge. If it weren't for the fact that they had just refreshed the Pujiang bridge today and were very tired, it would be very pleasant to take Yun Xianzu and Yun Qian out for a ride on such a night. The sound of the motorcycle's engine spread far away in the dark night and also attracted the attention of many nocturnal evil beasts. But after sensing the breath of Yun Qian and Chang Ning from afar, all the evil beasts chose to lie dormant with their tails between their legs. After a while, the motorcycle got off the Unravels expressway and came to the forest path from Yaosun to the laboratory. The road conditions here are very bumpy. Yun Xianzu hugged Chang Ning tightly from behind, squeezing Yun Qian's face in the middle into the shape of a pancake. We're here. Chang Ning stopped the motorcycle at the door of the laboratory. Huh. There is such a place around Yaosun, and I haven't been there before. Young Kai and Qian squeezed in front of Yan Shai and Su and ran to the door of the laboratory. Yan Shai and Su looked around and found that it was indeed the place in the video where her father had just appeared. She also jumped down. How do I open this door? Chang Ning turned the winch to open the air defense door, took the two of them in, and turned on the lights inside. Young Kai and Qian and Yan Shai and Su rushed in like a whirlwind, looking around. Actually, I've looked everywhere, and there are no clues worth noting, Chang Ning said from the side. Young Kai and Qian was not convinced, and wrinkled her little nose, and sniffed back and forth in the 3 rooms of the laboratory. Yan Shai and Su turned around here, and knew that it was unlikely to find out where his father was from here. Why did my father leave Yancheng? Where did he go? How could I know? Chang Ning continued to complain in his heart, and comforted Yan Shai and Su. Think carefully, is there anything unusual before your father disappeared? Maybe you can judge the reason from some signs before his disappearance. Particularly unusual. Yan Shai and Su looked at the ceiling, and tried to recall. Yes. What? During that time, Dad often lost his temper, because Kai and Qian ran away from home. Yan Shai and Su glanced at Yan Kai and Qian quickly lowered her head. Yan Shai and Su continued, he is usually a very cheerful person. If he doesn't go out to fish or hunt, he usually stays with his men, drinking and bragging. But during that entire black moon, my father locked himself in his room and rarely went out. At first, I thought he was sulking because of Kai and Qian's matter. Later, it was like this throughout the entire black moon, and everyone gradually got used to it. In the last few days of the black moon, almost everyone in the city tacitly accepted that he was a taciturn and unsociable person. This is incredible in retrospect. Yan Shai and Su opened her eyes wide, as if she was frightened by her own conclusion. In just less than a month, why did thousands of people change their impressions of a person? And this change in impression is a polar reversal. If I hadn't been thinking about the whole thing from a long time ago, my father's image in my mind would still be taciturn. What is going on? As she spoke, she hugged her body with her arms, as if she was greatly frightened. Chang Ning also frowned. The impression of everyone in Yanqing on Yan Yi changed dramatically in just 1 month. This was quite incredible. Could it be that someone can control people's thoughts and minds? If this is also a kind of awakening ability, it would be too scary. Come and see. Is there a painting on the wall here? At this time, Yan Kai and Qian's voice sounded next to her. The little girl squeezed beside the huge laboratory table and looked at the wall behind the laboratory table. Painting? Chang Ning walked over. He remembered that he had carefully checked the room here when he was tidying up things before, and the walls were all clean. Chapter 144 Clues on the top floor. Chang Ning walked over and found that there was indeed a crooked painting on the silver white metal wall. The painting was painted with carbon ash. It didn't look beautiful at all, but it was very eye-catching. In this painting, there are some wavy textures at the bottom, which seem to represent the water surface. There is a boat above the water surface, and 3 matchstick-like figures are standing on the boat. The height difference between the 3 figures is very large. The tallest one is more than twice the height of the shortest one. Could it be a family of 3? The 3 little people are all on the boat, looking in one direction. Behind them is a tall building, which seems to refer to Yancheng. What is this painting? Chang Ning squatted down and asked Yan Kai and Qian. Yan Kai and Qian pouted. How do I know? Yan Shai and Su also walked over and frowned at the picture. Is this painted by my father? Chang Ning nodded. He is the only one who can leave a painting here. But what is he expressing? Or is he just painting for fun? Are the 3 people in the painting my father and the 2 of us? Yan Shai and Su mentioned a possibility. Yan Kai and Qian shook her head. Look at the tallest little man. His posture is very strange. He looks more like Li Ling. Li Ling? Chang Ning's heart moved. Yan Yi seemed to have followed Li Ling here, which means that there must be some kind of connection between them. I'll go ask Li Ling tomorrow. Chang Ning clapped his hands and stood up. What? Yan Kai and Qian's eyes widened. She didn't know that Chang Ning had encountered Li Ling in the superstructure. There are no clues here. Let's go and talk while we walk. Chang Ning walked out first, and Yan Shai and Su and Yan Kai and Qian followed. While locking the door, Chang Ning briefly synchronized with Yun Qian the discovery of Li Ling's lair in the superstructure of Yuncheng and his guess about Li Ling's life experience. Yun Qian was amazed. Next time you go to see it, take me with you. I have never talked to a crazy ghost before. Chang Ning rolled his eyes. Others would stay as far away from a crazy ghost as possible, but you want to provoke it. Okay. Yun Qian began to shake Chang Ning's sleeves. Okay. Get in the car. The next day, Chang Ning woke up on Yun Qian's big bed as usual. Blinking and staring at the ceiling for a while, Chang Ning stood up. Yun Qian's had already gone out. Chang Ning slept a little longer today because of excessive consumption yesterday. It was already past 9 o'clock in the morning, and most people in Yuncheng had started to get busy. Yesterday, it seemed that I promised Yun Qianzu and Yun Qian that I would go to the upper structure of Yuncheng again to look for Li Ling, but Li Ling's whereabouts were erratic, and he might not be in his own nest. Chang Ning got dressed, washed up, and went to the cafeteria on the 17th floor to have some breakfast, and decided to go up and take a look. Being able to find Yun Yi's traces earlier can also be regarded as helping Yun Qianzu fulfill a wish. But how to communicate with Li Ling? It seems that it can understand what you say, but it seems that it can't speak. After breakfast, Chang Ning hurried up, and he was still tangled in his heart. At noon, Chang Ning finally came to Richard's former residence on the 168th floor again. Li Ling is not here. Does it come only at night? It doesn't spend the day here? Chang Ning walked around Richard's former residence. There was no difference from before he left last time, and there were no more clues. Standing in Li Ling's children's room, facing the broken floor-to-ceiling glass, Chang Ning suddenly thought of something. The last time he met Li Ling seemed to be yelling at some other powerful character above Yuncheng. Who can face Li Ling without losing the wind? What kind of existence is hidden above Yuncheng? Otherwise, go and see. Chang Ning checked his equipment. Black and gold clothes, Skywalker, revolver. Not bad. Let's go check it out. He crawled out of the big hole in Li Ling's children's room and recalled the location where the weird laughter came from last night. It seemed to be diagonally above and to the left. Chang Ning looked over there and saw the top of the other tower of the two tall buildings on the upper floor of Yuncheng. He used his hands and feet to climb out of the hole in the wall like Spider-Man, and then climbed diagonally all the way up to the top floor of the building where Li Ling was. Looking across, there was silence over there, and there was nothing unusual. He picked up a piece of rubble on the rooftop platform and waved his hand to throw it over. Dang. 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 The rubble fell on the roof of the opposite building and bounced a few times, but there was still no other movement. Chang Ning then took a run up, ran to the edge of the roof, and then jumped suddenly. He jumped from the roof of this building to the rooftop of another building. This rooftop looks no different from the one on the opposite side. The two buildings on the upper floor of Yuncheng are built symmetrically and are almost exactly the same. But there are more paintings drawn with carbon ash on the outer wall of the rooftop. Chang Ning cheered up. The style of this painting is the same as that on the wall of the laboratory, and it looks like it was painted by one person. Yun Yi. Could it be that he was the one who confronted Li Ling with a sneer last night? Exclamation mark. Then more questions popped up in Chang Ning's mind. Yun Yi is the old city lord of Yuncheng. Chang Ning has heard a lot about him in the days he has been in Yuncheng. He is a master level captain type awakener, specializing in driving ships. In the past, he has always been the soul of the Yuncheng fleet, taking the fleet out to sea to fish as the main source of food for Yuncheng. It is hard for Chang Ning to imagine that a master level awakener, who is characterized by driving ships, can confront Li Ling. You know, Li Ling has killed 4 master level awakeners in Yuncheng. Moreover, if Yun Yi is really here, then there is a high probability that his disappearance is caused by his own departure. Why did he leave during the Black Moon, and why did he come to the top of the Yuncheng building? He left everyone in Yuncheng here, including his daughter. What important things did he have to do? Chang Ning shook his head, feeling a little incredible. He continued to walk around the rooftop for a while, and looked at the paintings carefully. Many of them are centered on ships, and all kinds of little people in the paintings are doing all kinds of things. Fishing, cooking, hunting. There are even some little people sitting cross-legged there, with their heads glowing, as if they are cultivating immortals. What are these paintings expressing? Chang Ning was confused. There were no other clues on the rooftop platform, so he decided to go down and take a look. As soon as he walked into the corridor leading to the rooftop below, Chang Ning saw a pile of food and medicine boxes he brought from the 21st century, which were thrown in the corridor in a mess. There are also many empty food packaging bags that have been discarded randomly. Little guy, it's really you. Chang Ning was almost certain that the person living here was the one who went to the laboratory to steal his things. And this person, after being identified by Yun Qian Qian and Yun Xian Su, was Yun Yi, the previous old city lord of Yuncheng. Hey, what is that thing over there? Chang Ning saw a black cube in the corner of the corridor, about 20 centimeters long, and felt that this thing was very unusual. Chapter 145 Li Ling is captured. Chang Ning walked over, squatted down and looked at the black box carefully. There was a line of words written on the side of the box with white paint. The handwriting was crooked and ugly. A lot of paint dripped during the writing process, making the handwriting unclear. Some strokes were originally horizontal, but the dripping paint turned them into horizontal bending structures. But it was still recognizable. Produced by Yanjing Battery Factory in May 26, 2023. Quality guaranteed. 1 year replacement. Chang Ning almost jumped up. He took the small black box in his hand, took it to the rooftop, and looked at it carefully in the sunlight. This should be the old-fashioned lead-acid battery with low technical content. But it was actually produced in 2623. 2 years ago. When Chang Ning just came to this era a few months ago, he thought that all human beings had returned to the state of primitive society. Due to the knowledge gap caused by the world-destroying disaster, almost all human science and technology have been lost. But now it seems that this is obviously not the case. Yanjing Battery Factory. In Yanjing, there is actually a factory specializing in the production of batteries. This means that the people near Yanjing have basically entered a quasi-modern industrial society, right? But why is there still a barren land around Shanghai? Although they both experienced the doomsday disaster, the current state of Yanjing and Shanghai is completely different. Moreover, since batteries produced by the Yanjing Battery Factory appeared in this place, it proves that people from Yanjing have been to this place, or people from this place have been to Yanjing. Thinking back to the messy paintings that Yun Yi drew, they have little connection with the reality near Yuncheng. Has he been to Yanjing? What are the paintings of people in Yanjing? Chang Ning felt that there were more and more mysteries about Yun Yi, and he wanted to sit down and have a good chat with Yun Yi. However, after searching the entire top platform in the rooms on the lower floors, Chang Ning did not find Yun Yi. He seemed to have been living on the rooftop and the corridor next to it for the past few months, but he was not at home now. Where did he go? Chang Ning looked around and finally sat on the rooftop, staring at the setting sun in the west, speculating on Yun Yi's secret. Since Yun Yi cannot be found, and it is getting dark, let's see if Li Ling will come tonight. Thinking of this, Chang Ning simply began to close his eyes and rest, waiting for darkness. Last time, Li Ling returned to his nest shortly after it got dark. But this time, until it was completely dark and the stars were shining on the night sky, Chang Ning still did not hear the movement of Li Ling coming back. Yun Yi was not waiting here, so Chang Ning simply stood up again and walked towards Li Ling's nest. He jumped back to the opposite rooftop and walked down more than 10 floors. When he was about to reach the 168th floor, he heard a roar from the floor below. Li Ling, it's coming. Chang Ning was delighted, turned over and entered the hole in the children's room, and stood at the entrance of the hole waiting for Li Ling. But after waiting for more than 10 minutes, Li Ling still did not come up. Is it so slow? Chang Ning was a little puzzled. Li Ling's strength is at least above the Grandmaster level. Although he has lived for 300 years, and has old arms and legs, he should not be so slow to come up. He stuck his head out of the hole and looked down. It was pitch black and unusually quiet. Something was wrong. Chang Ning decided to go down and take a look. From the roar of Li Ling just now, he should be near the platform on the 138th floor, where there is a huge abandoned bird's nest. Chang Ning turned over and went out, like a monkey, along the bulges of the windows layer by layer, grabbing the bulges with his arms back and forth to slow down, and arrived at the 138th floor in less than a minute. Where is it? He landed near the bird's nest and looked around. There is movement there. On the other side of the platform, near the high-altitude basketball court, he saw a tall figure, which should be Li Ling. But Li Ling seemed to be fighting with a shorter shadow. The wounds from his previous fight with the leader of the Lost Heart Ghost had not healed yet, and it seemed that his movements were a bit strenuous. Who is there? Chang Ning immediately ran and rushed over there. Just as he started, he heard Li Ling cry out in grief and fell to the ground. Damn. Chang Ning quickened his pace. But there was a full few hundred meters between him and the other side. Even if he ran at full speed, it would take 5 or 6 seconds. The shorter figure had bent down and tied up Li Ling on the ground with the rope in his hand. Who are you? Chang Ning started shouting before he ran over. The man also saw Chang Ning. He didn't say anything, but just pulled the rope in his hand hard, easily lifted Li Ling in his hand, then smiled at Chang Ning, turned around and jumped down from the platform. A few seconds later, Chang Ning ran to the edge of the platform over there, only to see an umbrella-shaped aircraft flying farther and farther away. Under the aircraft was a figure holding Li Ling. Looking from the side, it was Yan Yi. When did Yan Yi become so powerful that he could actually capture Li Ling alive? Chang Ning's mind was a little confused. The umbrella-shaped aircraft was exactly the common means of travel used by people before the doomsday surveillance that Chang Ning saw in the security booth on the 88th floor of Yancheng. But Chang Ning still hasn't figured out how to use that thing, and he has no other means of flying. So he can only watch Yan Yi flying farther and farther with Li Ling. Your daughters are looking for you. Chang Ning shouted to Yan Yi in the distance. Let them go to Yanjing to find me. Yan Yi, who was gradually flying away in the air, answered Chang Ning from afar. Yanjing? Exclamation mark. Is his disappearance really related to Yanjing? Is there someone, or some organization in Yanjing, that led to Yan Yi's disappearance? Now Yan Yi seems to be doing things for the forces in Yanjing. Could it be related to Substance X? Chang Ning imagined intuitively. So, why did Yan Yi take Li Ling away? Is there any secret in Li Ling? If you think along this line of thought, there are really many secrets about Li Ling. First of all, she is the daughter of Li Chap, the head of the Substance X Research Institute in Zhangjiang Science Park, who was a top scientific expert before the Doomsday. Before the Doomsday, Substance X can be said to have caused a major earthquake in the entire Earth's scientific and political circles. If the Doomsday disaster had not come suddenly, humans would definitely have done their best to study it. So far, the person closest to uncovering the secret of Substance X is Li Chap, and Li Ling is his only child. Secondly, Li Ling's survival time is a bit weird. Even after the Doomsday, many humans have awakened their abilities, but the overall life expectancy of humans has not increased. Only certain people with certain abilities, such as Yunrang's unyielding system, have a strong effect on physical recovery, but that's all, and it won't directly increase lifespan. But Li Ling survived for 300 years. You know, immortality has always been the dream of the top human beings. Since Qin Shi Huang more than 2000 years ago, the top rulers have been working hard for immortality. But for thousands of years, immortality has always been a fantasy. Now, there is a real case that has lived for 300 years to study. Chang Ning believes that if Yanjing really restores some technology and establishes a new order, their rulers will also be very interested in this. Chapter 146 Yanjing. Yanjing. Whether it is to find the trace of X substance, to find Yan Yi, to rescue Li Ling, or even to help Zhen Yang find Zhen Lu's fathers and Shen, it seems that a trip to Yanjing is inevitable. However, there are no high-speed trains and airplanes these days, and there are not even ordinary roads where sports cars can be driven. So Chang Ning chose to travel by boat. Starting from Yancheng, go north along the coastline, stop near Jinmendagu port after passing Bohaikao, and then transfer to Yanjing by land. This is the most comfortable and convenient route Chang Ning can think of. Chang Ning does not intend to use the existing ships in Yancheng. Although the Yancheng is comfortable enough, it is too large, and there are at least dozens of sailors alone. Other patrol boats are of suitable size, with sufficient speed and endurance, but not comfortable enough. Chang Ning has always had the concept of poor family and rich road in the 21st century. No matter what, comfort and safety are the most important when traveling. So he looked for a yacht at the cruise terminal near the intersection of Dajiang and Pujiang in the north of Yancheng. This looks like a sea vehicle for a rich man before the end of the world. It is about 40 to 50 meters long, with 3 floors. Each floor has more than 100 square meters of space, equipped with a bottom storage room, an entertainment room, a top cabin suite, and 3 guest rooms and a living room in the middle cabin. The size is completely sufficient and the comfort is excellent. The yacht was originally equipped with intelligent navigation equipment. With the help of satellite navigation, one person can drive to all parts of the world. But now there are no satellites, and everything can only be driven manually. So Chang Ning can't drive to Xianjin alone. He needs to find a few helpers. The first choice is of course Yun Xianzu and Yun Qian. They also have a strong need to go to Yanjing to find their father, and Chang Ning has a good enough relationship with them. Yun Qian chewed the freshly baked rice cakes and agreed happily. Unexpectedly, after struggling for a while, Yun Xianzu rejected Chang Ning. Although I don't know why my father left Yancheng. Yancheng also has his hard work for so many years. I can't just leave. I have to manage everything in Yancheng. In this way, if Yun Qian find my father and bring him back, he will see a better Yancheng. Chang Ning was silent for a while and nodded. Okay, then you stay in Yancheng. Zunlu has a lot of recipes for traditional chemical factories. After we leave, you can work with him to build steel, fertilizers, textiles, and military industries first. Yun Xianzu was also silent for a while. Be careful when you go out. Chang Ning spent a few days with Zunlu to make a 1-year construction plan for Yancheng. Now the agricultural area of Yancheng has been determined to be around Yaosun, and the construction has been relatively complete. The subsequent main focus will be on industrial areas and living areas. These 2 areas are also built along the Yunnan Expressway. 4 factories, 3 communities, a school, and a hospital were planned in the early stage. All of these will be built in the coming year, and enough workers, teachers, and doctors will be trained to fill them. After the planning work was completed, Chang Ning went to say goodbye to his acquaintances in Yancheng one by one. After all, in this era, if you go far away, the chance of never seeing each other again is quite high. What Chang Ning did not expect was that 2 people volunteered to go with him after hearing that he was going to Yanjing. One was Yang Bao. Although she was the mayor of Yangcheng before, after the merger of several major cities, she seemed to be very idle every day. The most thing she did was to study various vegetables and fruits in Yaosun. When she heard that Chang Ning was going to Yanjing, she directly left her small vegetable garden. Take me. Chang Jiangzang, I have never been far away since I was a child. Lin Yuqian snorted beside him. Didn't I tell you about the scenery and stories of many places? It is because I have heard a lot of things far away that I want to go to faraway places to take a look. Yang Bao retorted. The other one was Xiang Bao. Since the retreat of the army of crazy ghosts, he was also very idle every day. When Chang Ning came to say goodbye to him, he directly grabbed Chang Ning's hand. Don't worry, brother, you go out to play by yourself. Don't you take me. I'm a relic hunter. Now I stay in Yancheng every day. I'm almost sick of idleness. Take me to Yanjing. I can help you with a lot of things on the way. I plan to sail there. Can you sail? Chang Ning asked him. This, I can't. But I can learn. I'll learn very quickly. Then have you been to Yanjing? Do you know the geographical environment along the way? Do you know where there are cities, towns, where you can get supplies, and where you can stay overnight? Xiang Bao looked at Chang Ning with 2 round eyes for a while. Why, you can't let you go? Chang Ning patted him on the shoulder. Go. Set off tomorrow. Okay. The next day, the 4-member expedition team packed their luggage early. Each of them put on camouflage uniforms, sunglasses, and military boots, and came down the elevator from the 17th floor platform of Yancheng. Behind them was a group of acquaintances from Yancheng. Come back early. Yun Xianzu touched Yun Qian's head, but stared at Chang Ning. Be careful on the way. Zulang stood behind Yun Shai and Su. Really don't need me to drive the boat? Xiao next to him said immediately. No, no. You just take care of the Yuncheng fleet. Chang Ning rejected her again. Lin Yuqian, Zhute, Ko Jinglang and others also said goodbye to Chang Ning, and the others one by one. Okay, stop wasting time, let's go. Yang Kai and Qian looked at Chang Ning, and then looked at everyone in Yuncheng. Let's go. The 4-member team set off on foot towards the Yuncheng wharf, and Chang Ning left the motorcycle to Zunlu. Xiao and several members of the fleet also set off together, and they also wanted to go to the wharf. The early autumn morning is the coolest time of the day, the sun is just right, and the birds are singing and the flowers are fragrant. The 4 of them were very excited about going on a long journey. They felt fresh when they saw the flowers, plants, and trees around Yuncheng along the way. Xiao and the others were just on duty as usual, and they didn't feel anything special. They always felt that the behavior of these 4 people was a little strange. An hour later, the group arrived at the Yuncheng wharf. Chang Jiangzang, the boat is ready. The team member on duty at the wharf saw Chang Ning coming and pointed to the yacht parked next to the wharf. Then let's get on board. Chang Ning said to the 3 team members behind him. Hey wait. Yang Bao stopped him. What's the name of this ship? What is the name of this ship? Chang Ning really hasn't thought about it, but it is necessary to give it a name. Just call it Yangcheng. Chang Ning said again without creativity. TSK. It might as well be called Qian Qian. Young Qian Qian interrupted. Then it's better to call it Xiang Bao. How domineering. Xiang Bao was not convinced. How about calling it Yuan Fang? Yang Bao suggested. Great. Not bad. Look at how good they are at naming. And then look at you, Chang Jiangzang. Amid the public's support for Yang Bao and their contempt for Chang Ning, the yacht was named Yuan Fang. The necessary supplies such as food, fresh water, and fuel on the yacht had been fully replenished, and the 4 people went directly on board to raise the anchor. Looking at the riverbank that was gradually leaving, Chang Ning said in his heart, Yanjing. Here I come. Chapter 147 See Entertainment Hall. Have you learned it? Chang Ning in the cockpit asked Xiang Bao next to him about an hour after the boat sailed out. Maybe, it should be possible, right? Xiang Bao was a little uncertain. Chang Ning saw that he was simple-minded and strong-limbed, and didn't believe that he could learn to drive a yacht in a short time, but still gave up the driving seat. Come on, try it. Really? What nonsense. Come on. Just try it. Xiang Bao stood in the position that Chang Ning gave up and controlled the steering wheel of the yacht. Don't say it. His burly figure, wearing sunglasses, wearing camouflage clothes, driving a luxury yacht, really has the flavor of the commercial blockbusters that Chang Ning saw in the 21st century. It would be perfect if he had a cigar in his mouth. Follow the coastline, keep driving, and keep the distance between the coastline and the current distance. Yes, yes. That's it. Good. I didn't expect you to have a strong ability to understand. Chang Ning guided Xiang Bao for a while, and this kid could actually drive the boat by himself. In that case, he patted Xiang Bao's shoulder. You drive first, I'll go take a look below. Then, without waiting for Xiang Bao to answer, he turned and left the cockpit and came to the deck. There were 2 parasols on the deck, and under the parasols were 2 lounge chairs. Next to the lounge chairs was a small table with iced drinks, and on the chairs were Yang Bao and Yun Qian Qian wearing sunglasses. Chang Ning looked at Yang Bao wearing camouflaged clothes and sunglasses, and wondered when the beauties of this era could restore the tradition of wearing bikinis. He also turned to take out a bottle of iced drink from the refrigerator in the cabin, and lay on the lounge chair next to Yun Qian Qian. The sea breeze was blowing, and the sky was blue and the clouds were white. If it weren't for the end of the world, this yacht would really be a good place for vacation. Brothers ironing, there is no TV here. Yun Qian Qian tilted her head. TV? Is there? Chang Ning remembered that every room on the top floor was equipped with a TV. There is no signal when I turned it on. Yun Qian Qian pouted. Yes, yes. What's going on? Chang Ning, do you want to go and have a look? Yang Bao also tilted his head to look at Chang Ning. Chang Ning, who had just laid down, sighed and stood up again. Then he thought about it. The reason why they could watch TV series on the Yunqing was because it was a hotel before the end of the world and it had a video on demand system. This is just a yacht. Even if it is equipped with a TV, it can only receive satellite signals and watch satellite TV. But where is the satellite? So he thought about it and said, I guess there is nothing on TV. How about this? I take you to play something more fun. More fun. Young Kai and Kian jumped up. What is that? Yang Bao also stood up, took off his sunglasses, and his eyes widened. Follow me and you will know. Chang Ning turned around and walked into the cabin first, and two girls, one big and one small, followed him. After entering the cabin, Chang Ning went down the stairs directly to the bottom cabin. He remembered that there was an entertainment hall here. Turning into the door of the entertainment hall, he turned on the atmosphere lights on the wall first. Suddenly, the whole room flashed with colorful colors. Young Kai and Kian and Yang Bao seemed to be frightened by the psychedelic colors. They stood at the door and watched the spherical lights on the roof turn and flash without moving. Come in. Chang Ning greeted the two people while turning on the big TV in the entertainment hall. The TV was turned on and the jukebox next to it was turned on. The jukebox from the 24th century made Chang Ning feel a little strange. It was completely different from the state when he went to KTV in the 21st century. After flipping through the song list for a long time, he found a suitable one. Classic old songs of the 20th century. It's You. Chang Ning first clicked on random play of song list to let the music sound first. Summer quietly passed by, leaving a little secret, deep in my heart, I can't tell you. The evening breeze blows and warms my heart, and I think of you again. How sweet, how can I forget? The speakers on the four walls of the entertainment hall were fully turned on, and a song that Chang Ning thought was very old in his time echoed in the room. Wow. Young Kai and Kian jumped up and twisted her body to the melody of the song. Yang Bao was also very happy. He stared at the picture on the TV screen and shouted to Chang Ning, what song is this? It's pretty nice. It's nice, isn't it? This one is not only audible, but also sung. Chang Ning didn't look back and responded loudly to Yang Bao behind him. Then he continued to flip through the jukebox. After a while, he ordered a few songs that he often sang in KTV in the 21st century. Dreaming of a dream that I can't wake up from. The red line that is under house arrest. All the stimulation is left with tired pain and no longer indifferent. When I hug you from behind, I'm looking forward to her face. After the picture of the young girl jumping on the TV went black, Chang Ning picked up the microphone and started singing the song he ordered. Young Kai and Kian and Yang Bao clapped beside him. In the wasteland of this era, there are really not many ballads that can be passed down. In the previous 200 or 300 years, humans have been struggling for survival. No one has the heart to sing or write songs. For the first time, Yang Bao felt that songs could be so beautiful. The three of them had fun in the entertainment hall in the lower cabin for 3 or 4 hours. Chang Ning sang several songs and had a great time. Yang Bao and Young Kai and Kian also learned a few simple songs. There was plenty of iced water and fruit in the refrigerator. Although the taste was not as good as that in the 21st century, it was enough for someone like Chang Ning who did not have higher requirements. It was not until Chang Ning could no longer hold it and went to the toilet upstairs that he realized that it was already dusk. He came to the second floor cockpit and saw Yang Bao, who was trembling with his legs clamped together, driving the boat, looking constipated. Hearing the movement behind him, Yang Bao felt relieved. Where have you been? Come and drive the boat. I need to go to the toilet. Chang Ning gave him an apologetic smile. Sorry, I had too much fun. After a pause, he said, actually, you don't have to wait for me. You can stop the boat and go to the toilet yourself, right? You only taught me how to drive the boat just now. Where did you teach me how to stop the boat? Yang Bao didn't wait for Chang Ning to come over. He threw down the rudder and turned and ran out. Chang Ning shook his head and took a few steps forward to take over the helm. He looked at the time. It was already past 5 in the afternoon and they had been on the road for 6 or 7 hours. Yang Bao was quite reliable in driving the boat. The coastline was 2 or 3 kilometers to the left of the boat, and it seemed that they had been heading north along the coast. The sun was about to set, and they needed to find a place to anchor before dark. The sea was not safe at night. Even in inland rivers like Pujiang, there were many giant monsters over 30 meters in size. The sea was even more dangerous. As soon as the sun went down, the huge beasts in the water would move near the water surface, so the fleet of Yuncheng never sailed at night. Chang Ning's four-man team was very powerful. This place was also a shallow offshore beach, but safety was still the priority. Chang Ning began to search the coast to see if he could find a suitable port or natural sheltered terrain to spend the night. Not long after he sailed, he found a natural harbor, a huge round calm water surface, with only a place about 500 meters wide connected to the open sea. This is it. Chang Ning controlled the Yuanfang to slowly sail into the harbor. As soon as he parked the ship, he found a fire not far to the west of the harbor. It was very dazzling under the dusk sky. Chapter 148 Dangu Town. Over there is a human gathering place. This thought popped up in Chang Ning's mind. He turned and went downstairs and saw Xiang Bao, Yan Qian, and Yang Bao lying on the deck chairs, enjoying the sea breeze and watching the sunset, looking like they were living a peaceful life. So he stepped forward and kicked each of their chairs. There seems to be a fire over there. Let's go and take a look. I've been sailing for a whole day. I'm so tired. I don't want to take a look. Xiang Bao shook his head like a rattle. Can we take a shower on this Yuanfang? Yang Bao asked another unrelated question. What are we having for dinner tonight? This was Yan Qian's response. Chang Ning laughed angrily. If you don't come with me to explore the shore, don't even think about lying down and being salted fish. As he said that, he stepped forward and turned over all their chairs. What is salted fish? Why do we have to be salted fish? Yang Qian turned over and landed on the ground swiftly. Ouch. Yang Bao didn't notice and fell on his buttocks. Chang Ning, you. Chang Ning ignored them and took out a 30-meter long gangway specially equipped by the Yuncheng fleet for the Yuanfang. This is to prevent the Yuanfang from having no suitable port to anchor on the way. The extended gangway length allows people to barely get off the ship in places that are not so suitable for anchoring. Come on. He set up the gangway and walked down first. The three people followed reluctantly and got off the boat with him. The seashore here is a fine sandy beach. The cool breeze blows on the face in the early autumn night, and the shadows of the trees are swaying. The scenery is very good. The four people are all skilled and courageous. Without any disguise or cover up, they walked directly to the place where there was a fire in the distance. Less than 2 kilometers away, a circle of wooden walls was seen in the distance. The fire was reflected in the wall. It should be a huge bonfire. Chang Ning was a little dazed, as if he had returned to Yao Town. There is indeed a human gathering place here. Let's go and find out the news. After walking forward for another 100 meters, Chang Ning and the other four heard a neat recitation from inside the wall. Isn't it a pleasure to have friends coming from afar? Isn't it a gentleman to not be angry when people don't know you? Is there anyone reading ancient Chinese in the doomsday? Chang Ning was a little curious and quickened his pace. After a while, he came to the gate of the wall. There was no one guarding the door here, and it was just open. Standing at the door, you can see from a distance that there are 40 or 50 young people and children in the square in front, shaking their heads and reciting ancient Chinese. What's going on? Chang Ning felt a little weird, but the four of them still walked in directly. When they were almost next to the square, the group of people reading noticed them and stopped reciting for a while. There were 3 old men standing opposite the group of people reading, and they also saw Chang Ning and the others. Isn't it a pleasure to have friends coming from afar? The old man with a white beard in the middle walked up to Chang Ning and greeted them. What is he talking about? Yang Bao put his mouth close to Chang Ning's ear and asked quietly, making Chang Ning's ears itchy. He was talking about a sentence from Confucius Analects 3000 years ago, which means that it is a very pleasant thing to have like-minded friends coming from afar. Chang Ning answered in a low voice. Unexpectedly, the old man had sharp ears and heard Chang Ning's words. He smiled and said, "This friend seems to be a scholar. Is he from the holy city?" He looked Chang Ning up and down and frowned again. If he is not a guest from the holy city, could he be from a farther place? Holy city? Chang Ning was stunned for a moment. The name sounded quite domineering. We are from Yuncheng in the south. Young Kai and Kian answered from the side. Oh, Yuncheng. I didn't expect that there are people in Yuncheng who read the books of sages. I'm sorry for my disrespect. The old man bowed and saluted. I'm Kang Yao, the last descendant of the Holy City branch. I'm sorry for not welcoming you. What is your name? Kang Yao's half-literate words made Yang Bao, Yun Kai and Kian and Xiang Bao confused, but Chang Ning had no problem listening to it. He immediately introduced the four of them to Kang Yao, who warmly welcomed him. Kang Yao told the other two old men to continue reciting with the crowd, and he invited Chang Ning and the other four to the wooden house next door. We are new to your precious land, and we don't know where this place is. In order to adapt to the other party's tone and rhythm, Chang Ning became the main force of the conversation. This is Dangu Town, the easternmost place covered by the light of the holy city. Kang Yao asked them to sit down, and immediately a maid brought out a tea tray and served 4 cups of light green tea. Holy city? Could it be Kang City? Chang Ning's heart moved. Judging from their sailing time and the direction of the coastline, they should have arrived at the Ludi Peninsula. That's right. I originally thought that the great light of the holy city only affected us who were close to the Holy Land and had the honor to hear the holy word. I didn't expect that brother Chang, who was far away in Yuncheng, had read the books of the sage. I'm really disrespectful. Does Mr. Kang know Yuncheng? Yes. The academy in the holy city records the geography of the world, and I have read it. Although I haven't really traveled thousands of miles, I still know some basic geographical knowledge. Chang Ning nodded. This holy city should be Kancheng, where Confucianism was born 3000 years ago. Chang Ning was not surprised at all that the people here recite ancient texts and speak ancient words. What was surprising was why, after experiencing the same doomsday disaster, the cultural heritage of places near Yuncheng and Zhenhe City further south was almost cut off, while Ludi seemed to have retained a lot of cultural knowledge. According to Chang Ning's exploration of the ruins of the towns around the original Shanghai city, those who survived the doomsday disaster were all children under the age of 7 or 8. Those who were a little older did not survive the gamma ray burst. Even if children aged 7 or 8 survive, they will fall into various crises brought about by the doomsday environment. Not to mention that they don't know a few words. Even if they have learned something before, they have almost forgotten it in the long struggle with the natural environment. Their descendants have no concept of cultural inheritance. And Kancheng in Ludi seems to have a relatively complete inheritance of Confucian culture. Even books such as Geography of the World that record the conditions of various places after the doomsday can be compiled. How did they do it? Is it true that, as Chang Ning heard in the 21st century, children in Ludi have been academic masters since childhood? The one with the highest college entrance examination score in every university dormitory must be a child from Ludi. If there is such a saying in the doomsday, it would be a bit exaggerated. He suddenly became very interested in the so-called holy city. After exchanging pleasantries with Kang Yao for a while, he asked, Mr. Kang, we were ignorant before, but today we learned that there is such a sacred existence as the holy city. Several of us want to go to the holy city to pay our respects and improve our cultivation. I wonder in which direction the holy city is, how to get there. Speaking of the holy city, it's far away. We are located in a remote area. From here to the holy city, we have to travel through mountains and rivers, and walk west for 7 days to arrive. Kang Yao said with some regret. Walk west for 7 days? Exclamation mark. Not to mention the question of whether we can get there. This round trip will also delay things. Going to Yanjing is the most urgent matter at the moment. Chang Ning felt a little regretful. However, if you want to see the style of the holy city, you don't have to go that far. 50 miles southwest is Lanling City, which is known as the Little Holy City, and can also be seen. Kang Yao added. Chapter 149 Lanlinking. After chatting with Kang Yao for a long time, Chang Ning learned a lot of information about the surrounding area. Dangu Town is located in the sphere of influence of Lanling City. Lanling City has a powerful awakened Lanlinking who is committed to slaying demons and monsters for the people nearby. Therefore, there are no strong evil beasts in the area within 100 miles. The residents of dozens of nearby villages and towns generally live a life of reading and farming. There is a farmland outside their Dangu town, where wheat is planted. Kang Yao couldn't tell what was going on in a farther place. He only went to the holy city once with the big men of Lanling City when he was young. Apart from that, he has never traveled far in his life. Generally speaking, the folk customs here are simple. Although they can't be said to be well fed and well clothed, everyone is basically content with poverty. In the doomsday, the areas around Yuncheng and Zhenhe City are almost in a primitive social state. Lin Yuqian once walked upstream along the river and arrived near Jiang'an City, which was similar to Yuncheng. When we got to Kangcheng and Ludi, we felt that it was already in the state of an agricultural society thousands of years ago. People here not only read, but also farmed. Further north, there were industrialized centralized production factories such as battery factories near Yanjing. It was obvious that we had reached an industrial society. Could it be that in this doomsday, the further north we go, the more fires left by human civilization? After Chang Ning finished talking with Kang Yao, he couldn't help but start to speculate on the hidden meaning behind this information. Could it be that when the gamma ray burst occurred, it was facing the southern hemisphere, so that the further south humans and other creatures are affected, the greater the impact? If this is true, then humans near the Arctic Circle, such as the 3 Nordic countries, have basically not been affected. But that's not right. If there are a whole number of countries that are not greatly affected by the doomsday disaster, after 300 years, they should have done something to humans in other parts of the world, right? Even if there is no relief or subsidy, at least they can conquer and control it. Modern civilization versus agricultural society or even primitive society civilization, the generation gap between them allows them to do whatever they want. But I haven't heard of anything like this happening in 300 years. I can't figure it out. After Chang Ning had learned almost all the information he wanted to know, he stood up and said goodbye. Kang Yao tried to persuade him to stay, but Chang Ning resolutely said goodbye. Are you kidding? If he didn't let Yang Bao and Yun Qian go back to the suite of Yuan Fang to take a comfortable bath and sleep on the soft big bed, but let them spend the night in this small village in the early agricultural society with the villagers, he was afraid that he would be beaten to death by the two of them. Finally, Kang Yao saw that he couldn't keep the guests, so he asked the maid to pack a bag of white flour steamed buns for them. These dry food, the guests, take them on the road. Seeing that the hospitable Ludi was still so hospitable after the end of the world, Chang Ning couldn't refuse, so he took the steamed bun and handed it to Yun Qian. Yun Qian blinked, took out one, and started to eat it in front of Kang Yao. Good. This pot is better than rice cakes, Xiao. Kang Yao quickly asked someone to pour another cup of tea. Eat slowly, don't choke. Ouch. How long has this girl not eaten? Chang Ning took Yun Qian's collar with some embarrassment and took her away. After eating and drinking, bathing, and resting for a night on the Yuan Fang, Chang Ning decided to go to Lanling City to take a look. This place is thousands of miles away from Yuncheng. Whether in terms of humanities or geography, it is completely different from the surrounding areas of Yuncheng. Even if you go there to broaden your horizons, Lanling City is worth a visit. What's more, there is a high-level awakener Lanling who is dedicated to the people, and Chang Ning also wants to meet him. After discussing with the 3 people, no one objected. Lanling City is only 50 miles away from here. According to the physical strength of several people, they can return to Yuan Fang at night at most, without delaying Yang Bao and Yun Qian's bathing. So Chang Ning took them, and set off according to the route indicated by Kang Yao yesterday. As expected, they did not encounter any evil beasts along the way, not even large beasts. They also passed by several small villages and towns, all surrounded by farmland, and the population was obviously larger than the towns around Yuncheng. The few people walked quickly. At more than 10 o'clock, they saw an ancient city appearing under the distant mountains from afar. This city is almost the same as the small cities in the costume films that Chang Ning watched in the 21st century. He doubted whether Lanling City was built by the residents who survived the world-destroying disaster. You know, the technology and manpower required to build such a city are quite high. Could it be a collective travel of an ancient city? After a while, the 4 people approached the city gate and began to pass by some residents coming in and out. Every resident who sees Chang Ning and his people will smile to express welcome to visit, because Chang Ning and his people are completely different from the local residents in their attire. Almost all local residents wear hanfu. This ancient Chinese costume has some fans in the 21st century where Chang Ning lives. They will wear hanfu to parties, go shopping, and participate in comic exhibitions. But very few people still wear hanfu as daily clothing. The residents of Lanling City seem to treat hanfu as daily clothes, and even wear hanfu when they go out of the city to work. Wow, what kind of clothes are these? They are pretty good. Yang Bao and Yun Qian's eyes lit up. The beauty of hanfu is incomparable to the animal skins and linen clothes around Yuncheng. Girls are naturally unable to resist beautiful clothes. This is hanfu, which was worn by ancient people thousands of years ago. Chang Ning explained. I don't know if there are any hanfu for trading in their city. It seems that I can buy one to wear. Yang Bao stared at the female residents coming and going, refusing to move his eyes away. Let's go and have a look. When they walked to the city gate, there were guards on duty. When they saw Chang Ning and his group from afar, they came to greet them. When they learned that they were from Yuncheng and came to Lanling City to travel and visit Lanling, they were not surprised at all and did not ask more questions and let the 4 people in. I always feel that this place is a little too peaceful and beautiful. Chang Ning walked into Lanling City and said to Xiang Bao next to him. Xiang Bao nodded. Generally, in places like this, either everyone is stupid or everyone is very strong. The city is also full of ancient style buildings, with many shops and pedestrians. Chang Ning thought he had traveled to ancient times, until he saw a stone tablet standing in front of a crossroads. Lanling Ancient City Scenic Area and Ludi Ancient Costume Film and Television Base Completion Monument. It turned out that this was an ancient city scenic area before the end of the world. Chang Ning suddenly realized. No wonder these buildings are all antique and don't look like they were built by people after the end of the world. While reading the content on the stone tablet, Chang Ning suddenly felt a strong breath coming from one direction, getting closer and closer to them. He turned his head suddenly and saw a big man about 1.9 meters tall, wearing ancient armor, leading a group of soldiers. Pedestrians on the roadside pulled over and saluted. Meet Lanling. Lanling. Chang Ning felt a familiar power in him, like the feeling when he faced Yunrang. Is he extraordinary? P.S. Due to the performance of this book, the recent chapters may be a bit bland. After leaving Yuncheng, I originally wanted to write a road article, writing in detail about the geographical and cultural features along the way, the people I met, and the things I experienced, but now there are only single-digit subscriptions, so the author has accelerated the pace, hoping to finish all the outlines listed when I conceive this book, and then start preparing for the next book. Sorry, there are probably dozens of chapters left before the book is finished. Thank you to the readers who have always supported the author. I hope everyone can finish reading this book. I will continue to work hard on the next book. Chapter 150 Extraordinary. Before coming here, Chang Ning imagined that Lanling was similar to the image in a certain honor game he played in the 21st century. He was thin, secretive, able to hide his tracks, and burst out instantly after approaching the enemy to take people's lives. When he came to Lanling City and saw Lanling, he found that he was a strong man like an iron tower. It seemed that he was 2 or 3 times the size of ordinary people. Lanling also noticed that Chang Ning and the other 4 people were out of tune with their surroundings in terms of clothing and behavior. He walked a few steps in front of the 4 people, and the heavy iron armor on his body jingled. With his footsteps, the ground seemed to be shaking. Are you travelers from afar? Lanling looked up and down at the 4 people. Yes, we are from Yuncheng, passing by here, and heard about the reputation of Lanling, so we came to pay a special visit. Chang Ning answered, neither servile nor arrogant. Lanling nodded, looked at Chang Ning and frowned again. Interesting, he is an aggregate awakener. Aggregate awakener? Does it mean that I have awakened both the Stargate and the Skygate? Chang Ning was still thinking. Lanling moved his eyes to Xiang Bao and Yang Bao again. There are 2 more here. 3 aggregation awakeners. Interesting. Too interesting. Ha ha ha. Lanling laughed inexplicably, making Chang Ning not know how to talk to him. Young Kai and Kian snorted. What are you laughing at? Little girls should be well behaved to be cute. Lan Ling Wang glared at Young Kai and Kian. If you don't behave well, I will hit you. Young Kai and Kian also had a bad temper. With a force on her feet, she jumped up out of thin air and attacked Lan Ling Wang's face. Kai and Kian, don't. Chang Ning hurriedly stopped her. This was a suspected supernormal person. Young Kai and Kian's small body was afraid that she was not strong enough to be beaten. Young Kai and Kian's attack was fast and fierce, but the surrounding Lanling city residents did not have a worried expression. Instead, they looked at Young Kai and Kian and Lanling Wang as if they were watching a good show. Some people even smiled. Bang! Young Kai and Kian's little fist was grabbed by Lanling Wang, and the whole person was fixed in midair, unable to move. Her face flushed red as she tried to get rid of Lanling Wang's big hand, but his hand was like an iron hoop and she couldn't get away at all. Lanling Wang, show mercy. Chang Ning had no choice but to shout to Lanling Wang. Ha 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 ha. Here, such a disobedient little kid will be spanked. Lanling Wang laughed loudly, then waved his hand and threw Young Kai and Kian into Chang Ning's arms. However, since you are guests from afar, I can't punish you. I leave it to you. Chang Ning caught Young Kai and Kian. Her little fist had turned red, but she was not hurt. You are passing by here. Where is your destination? Lanling Wang asked Chang Ning again. After Chang Ning confirmed that Young Kai and Kian was not injured, he put her aside, signaled her not to move, and then replied to Lanling Wang, let's go to Yanjing. Yanjing? Lanling Wang looked up at the sky, not knowing what he was thinking. After a while, he turned to Chang Ning and continued, Yanjing hides some secrets that I don't understand. If you go to Yanjing and pass by here again, come and find me. After that, he hurried away with the soldiers behind him. What? So arrogant. What's so great about it? Young Kai and Kian stuck out a tongue at Lanling Wang's back. Yang Bao looked scared. Originally, I thought Kai and Kian was the best fighter. Who would have thought that after just one day of going out, I would meet someone who can fight better than Kai and Kian? Chang Ning shook his head. He is extraordinary. He just grabbed Kai and Kian casually just now. Otherwise, do you think we can still stand here if he gets serious? Extraordinary? There really is an extraordinary person? Yang Bao was very surprised. Chang Ning nodded. We have been near Yunsheng, but we are still too narrow-minded. He said to Xiao Bao, aren't you a relic hunter? How many supernormal people are there in the places you have been to? Xiao Bao shook his head. This is the first time I have seen supernormal people since I was a child. First time. Where have you been? I usually go along the river, so it's not easy to get lost. I have been to many distant places, such as Jiangcheng, Shacheng, Yucheng. I have seen many masters, but this is really the first supernormal person. Chang Ning touched his chin. Xiao Bao's range of activities is basically limited to the river basin and the areas to the south. He has hardly been to the north. There is basically no way to provide any valuable clues. When I was in Dangu town before, I guessed that the further north you go, the less damage you will suffer in the doomsday disaster, and the easier it is for civilization to be preserved. It seems that this is not necessarily reliable, because the mutation of the awakened is obviously closely related to the doomsday disaster. In the vast areas of the south, the supernormal has become a legend, but there is actually a living supernormal person in Lanling City in the north. This in itself shows that the mutation rate and strength of awakened people near Lanling City are not lower than those in the south. And such an extraordinary awakened person does not seem to be idle. Kang Yao of Dangu town said that Lanling King would clear high-level evil beasts nearby to create a safe space for ordinary people. He just led people to leave in a hurry, and he must have received news about some evil beasts. It can make an extraordinary person so busy every day. The mutation of evil beasts in this area seems to be more than that in Yunsheng. At least when Chang Ning was in Yunsheng, master level awakened people like Young Kai and Kian basically did not need to be dispatched. High level and master level awakened people could clear the dangers nearby. He told us to find him when we come back from Yanjing. He should not be in Lanling City in the next few days. Let's wait until we return to see if we can communicate with him. After making this plan, Chang Ning said to the three people behind him, Lanling City has come, and Lanling King has also seen it. Let's go back and continue our journey now. Xiang Bao did not comment, but Yang Bao and Yun Qian shook their heads together. We haven't traded for clothes yet. In the end, Chang Ning took Yang Bao and Yun Qian to stroll around the streets of Lanling City for half a day and exchanged the rice cakes and compressed biscuits for the 4 people's lunch for 4 sets of hanfu. Yang Bao and Yun Qian changed into new clothes on the spot, and the two were very happy. Chang Ning noticed that the transactions here can not only be bartered like those near Yunsheng, but also have some precious metal currencies, and the preliminary market has been established. It seems necessary to take some financial measures near Yunsheng. With this thought, Chang Ning, Xiang Bao, Yang Bao, and Yun Qian went back in the direction of Yuanfang Hao. Originally, Yang Bao wanted to try the so-called inn in Lanling City, but the 4 of them really had no money. In order to exchange these 4 sets of clothes, they didn't even have lunch, so they had to give up. After dark, the 4-person group who had been on a tour around the area finally returned to Yuanfang. Eat, shower, and rest. We will continue heading north tomorrow. Chang Ning had just taken a shower in the room when he heard a knock on his door. Chang Ning, is it time to go to the bathroom? It was Yang Bao's voice. What's wrong? Chang Ning hurriedly put on the newly bought hanfu, wiped her hair, and opened the door. The water in my room doesn't seem to be too hot. Yang Bao looked gentle and elegant in his newly bought clothes and stood at the door with a blushing face. Not too hot? Let me help you check. Chang Ning was about to go to Yang Bao's room. Hey, no need. Yang Bao hurriedly grabbed him. Can I take a shower here? End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.